This conference will now be recorded.
All right, cool. Call the meeting to order. Stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
O Lord, as we gather this day to do the important business for the people of the village of Owego, grant us wisdom, compassion, and understanding. Amen.
Amen. All right, first thing on the list tonight is a public hearing on the budget. Anybody here to talk about the budget? Okay. Just for information, I know the sheets you got say we're about 5%. We're probably looking like 1.9%. Sniffing at it. All right, next. Yep, close the public hearing.
Do we vote on that or we just do it?
What's that?
Do we vote on that or we just do it? You do it.
Everybody online.
You don't, so we're not closing it.
Yeah, we'll close it. So the next, usually the first thing will be public comment. What we got? What we got here?
Yep, Kathy Welsh, 33rd Street, Owego. I prepared a little summary.
No, it's not me.
Which I'd like to pass out the history of the Pompelli House as far as the discrepancies in zoning.
Yeah, just watch our course there.
My point of this summary of the history is because we're trying to get the board to understand that every time the property has sold, it has escalated and grown the business without any kind of zoning variances, licenses, or permits. My family has owned the property since '85. I'm now the second generation in that home. And my parents bought the properties. I don't know if anybody's been down that end of the street neighboring the Pompelli, but it is a gorgeous piece of property. And my parents bought the house because of the privacy, the tranquility of the property. It's quite large and it goes all the way to the river. And what has transpired over the years has been an encroachment or a growing business in an R2 zone, which kind of impedes the privacy and tranquility of the property. And it's not that we're objectionable to the B&B, and it's not that the Whitmores have done an outstanding job on all the work they've done, the landscaping. They've invested a huge amount of money. I have no idea how much, but it's obvious the amount of money that has been invested. And we're not here in opposition to the new owners. We're just asking the village to please provide some kind of guidance and restrictions, because like I said, every time the property has sold, it has grown. And it shows where it started with Jane Taylor, from one employee in 4 bedrooms to where it is now. And I think some kind of guidelines, it would help the Whitmores in their financial planning and their budget development and return on investment, which is huge. And we came to the board last year when we found out the property was turning over. There could be things going on behind the scenes, but as far as we're aware, they're operating on the assumption that everything is fine and that they can proceed and do what they want. What those plans are, I'm not privy to, but the commercial kitchen has gone in, a hood system has gone in. And like I say, that, it appears that they're expanding once again. okay? And that's all I have to say. Thank
Do I
you.
have brief moment to rebut?
Yeah, it's
No, you
public
want
comment.
to, you want to address the board.
Right, yeah, so as long as you say no, you're good.
Sure, so just to answer some of
I'll
that
just state,
concerns.
just so we get into
Who are
the
you?
minutes, like who you
Oh,
are.
I'm sorry, John, I try not to come to these, right?
Yeah, no, you're.
No offense, so the commercial kitchen was already in the carriage house, that's number one. We did install an answer system, that's for the protection of my property, my building, and my equipment. That was, Chris did mention, the other day, him and I talked about the possibility of a restaurant opening there. Just for the village's knowledge, we purchased a cellar this morning, so we are not opening a restaurant there. We are not planning on doing any more events. Fact is, due to certain circumstances around the village, I don't really like people very much right now. So, weddings, our next event, happens to be at the end of July. It is my nephew's wedding. The, Strawberry Festival and the prom went back to back. The prom we tried to control to the best of our ability. We patrolled the area, we had OPD there. And the Strawberry Festival was all foot traffic. Fact is, I couldn't park in front of my house. But we had foot traffic and we tried to restrict any activity on Bacon Street because obviously Bacon Street to us, in our consideration, is a shared driveway. I understand it's a street, but we try to keep people out of there. We have no desire to do more than one wedding a month because realistically, and that's asking a lot from us because really, bridezillas are really the wave of the world today. It's really just mean women. Like, we had a girl who got engaged one day and she wanted to go look at the place for the next 4 days. Just, outside of that, we don't have a lot of major events. We just want to do some odds and ends stuff. And when we do it, we'll pay you the proper taxes that we do. We're not trying to operate, and we've talked to the village attorney. Unfortunately, he's not here this evening, but.
He's online, actually. So.
Oh, I think.
He's listening.
Anyway, we've agreed to keep it under 90 people. 90 people or under. I don't, during the Strawberry Festival, we had 199 people pass through. Never over 80 people in there at one time. We literally kept count of everybody that was in there. We just, honestly, let's face it, you get more than 90 people, it's just already a headache. And I've got too many of those. So we are working with the village. Village attorney's been really great with us. Anything that we're going to do in the future, we will run by code, period. But that property is as big as it's going to get. We're not putting any additions on. Fact is, I'm trying to figure out how to fix some of the stuff that was done, 120 years ago. But we do have proof. We can skip that. But
Yeah.
The Taylors bought that property in 1980, and Jane Taylor, we've talked with Jane. So we're not trying to make your life miserable. I promise you that. We're doing everything we can. As a matter of fact, during the Strawberry Festival, we actually hired somebody just to walk around all the time. You guys do have a beautiful backyard. We have a gorgeous backyard. We love ours too. Matter of fact, I want to talk to you about mowing some of that stuff. Cleaning it up even more, but we're here to work with our neighbors. That's where we're at and with the village. We love the village. We're expanding our ownership into the village. We'd like to just keep operating, but we will keep it simple. No restaurants, no 300 people events. We've offered the village, we want to make a special use over 100. We're more than willing to purchase that. So anything that you guys want to do, we want to work with you. Thank you. If anybody has any questions, please, yes.
Did you have something to do with the fireworks display?
We sponsored.
Thank you. It
Well,
was
absolutely.
spectacular.
We have a
It
warrant
was
over
the
here.
longest I've ever experienced it. My arms got numb holding my camera up to the video.
Thank you. We're looking to do more next year. Like, honestly, there was some very short, spots where there could have been more, we thought. So we would like to work with them and try to get something a little more fulfilling, possibly. We have friends that work with American Fireworks, I believe it is, and they want to put barges on the river and fireworks from.
The East River of fireworks.
Yeah, so
Casey's
from both
Parade.
sides of the river plus in the center. Yeah, so we're talking.
It'd be nice to do something that's this kind
Weren't you applying for a liquor license?
We received both of them from New York State. You'll be seeing a third for the seller.
You said you bought the cellar?
Yes, this morning.
And I also sympathize with you with the Brian Tillis. I used to be the director of sales for the Treadway, which recently got,
Yeah,
and I used to had to sign many contracts for weddings there, and I had to deal with the Brian Tillis.
it's rough. It's not as pleasant as everybody thinks. The money
Yeah,
sometimes
we
not
enjoyed
worth it.
like partaking in a lot of the village activities and supporting the village on our end. But in terms of the overall daily operations of that spot, we're trying to.
And buying the cellar is already going to take more time than we have. We're just keeping that as, it's a beautiful thing. I would invite anyone to please come and see it. We've done, as Kathy said, a ton of work. The house is, just, yeah. There's Carriage House, we've done a ton. Please come see it. We encourage everyone. And come talk to us.
We
We're
thank
more
you
than
both
happy.
for.
Yeah, we've talked a couple conversations.
That's the good thing.
So Chris Welch, 30 Front Street. I've talked to John last week. I love everything you guys are doing over there. It's all cool, but my concern really is not with them. It's with code, zoning, board, all right? John mentioned, the non-compliance, non-conforming use part of the whole deal. So I did some research on that, did some looking up. And I just want to give you this quick. The issue that is really at hand is that, as Kathy told you, her parents purchased 30 Front Street in 1984, all right? Well, excuse me, 85, sorry. Well before, that Pump Building House was still a private residence at that time.
That's actually untrue. Taylor bought it in 1980, turned it into a bed and breakfast as well as a event space in 1980.
Okay,
Non-conformance was in 1980.
so my understanding of what I read is that either way, the code was in place before that. So my understanding of the non-conforming is that if it was done correctly, if Jane Taylor wanted to put in a bed and breakfast, she would go to code and ask code to do it. And code would say, you have to go speak to zoning because it's an R2. And then zoning should have issued a non-conforming, right? Then from that point on, from that moment on, the property is labeled as non-conforming. And then any expansion of any kind has to be brought to code, to zoning, for additions to the non-conforming. And everything they've done so far, they've done real well. No problem with anything like that. But I also want the board to know that we're not here to shut down the Pompelli House. That's not the point at all. The point is it needs to get organized. It's like Kathy's got 30 pages of notes from all the transactions and the buildings, and the Baus were told they needed to get an architect, and then there's pictures of drawings that an 8-year-old could have written for the pylons, and that was approved. Just so don't want to get sidetracked.
Keyword approved.
Yeah, keyword. But my point being that I think it would be better for them, as well as us, as well as the whole village, if it got organized and it was done correctly. Meaning that when the kitchen was done, that should have gone a permit to code. Code should have said you're non-conforming. That has to go to zoning, and then zoning would approve or add it to the non-conforming. Keep it all organized. These guys are spending, like they said, lots of money. And they're doing a great job. They're spending lots of money. And what happens if things get out of control and then all of a sudden they're told, whoa, you can't operate your kitchen anymore. They just dropped $100,000 in the kitchen. That's not the way this is supposed to work. And it's pretty clear. If you look at the last page in this is actually from Cornell Law School. And it says non-conforming property may not expand its non-conforming use in any way or change unless conforms to the new zoning. So for example, just,
Huge addition.
yeah, the addition that was put on there, the deck off the back, all that stuff is not legal unless it goes through zoning. And Saturday, the Strawberry Festival happened. I believe that they should be involved in the Strawberry Festival. They sponsored part of it. But again, that's got to be a special use permit. This is the first time, if you talk about expansion, it's the first time the owners of the Pompelli House are selling directly to the public. They had an open kitchen, they had an open bar, they invited customers in. That's different. That's never happened before. All right. So that is something that needs to go through zoning, and the village needs to say we're okay with that, or provide a special use permit for the event. I believe the same thing should happen for the prom. The prom's been there many times. I know people, kid works for me, his girlfriend, oh, she went to the prom there. That's fine with me, but it needs to go through proper channels and it needs to be approved to do that. And hopefully those events are few and far between. And just to close, again, I want these guys to succeed. They're nice people, all right? But I think the village is, what?
Parameters.
Yeah, there needs to be parameters of what can be done there. And everybody needs to understand that, because like Kathy said, you can see on paper, every time it changes hands, it expands and expands. There was 4 bed and breakfast rooms. They changed their mind. What happens if next year they take the barn and turn it into 9 more rooms? Now it's a hotel.
I could call Joe Biden.
Yeah.
Because I could get 3 buses.
Yeah, I'm sure you could. But yeah, I know, $120 a night for as many people as y'all put in there.
Yeah, and I'll have new gardeners. And
Yeah, so, but my point is, they need to know, and the village needs to
the
be out.
federal government overrides the state.
Yeah. But just so that we have rules and regulations and are followed properly, all right? Thank you.
All right. Still in public comment. Julie,
Okay, so I just want to stop.
who are you?
I am Julie Nucci. I'm the County Smart Communities Task Force Chair for the Village of Owego and Village Consultant. Laura brought to my attention a Scott Smith and Son proposal for an AC system.
Yes.
I have a comment about that. So as kind of back up to that, right? We just finished an energy audit of the police station. That energy audit is done. So as the Climate Smart Communities Task Force, we have become the de facto Clean Energy Communities Task Force. And we're taking on a lot of clean energy communities actions. And so we're trying to do things the right way and not haphazardly. And the right way to do it is first you do an energy assessment, then you air seal, then you insulate. Only then do you make heating and cooling load calculations to properly size a system and then install them. So if you install a system before any of that has been done, you're likely oversizing the system. The other thing is on the quote, it says Scott Smith and Son is not NYSERDA certified, and units installed do not qualify for the clean heat rebate program. So I got nothing against Scott Smith and Son, don't get me wrong, but we're trying to work within the parameters of a NYSERDA program so that the village gets the most for its money. And I don't think, as Climate Smart Communities Task Force Chair, sort of de facto Clean Energy Communities Task Force Chair, I would not recommend that you jump at this now, because first we need to take actions on the building. So to that end, the energy audit identified a modest, $12,000 worth of actions that could save the energy bill of the building by like 10%, which would have a payback of about 12 years. And that's adding insulation, sealing pipes. But there's a big but. And the big but is that assumes that windows are sealed. And that brings in the whole other issue. So at another time, I would very much like to talk about the OHPRP grant. That's just for you guys, because we, again, have an opportunity here if we can capitalize on it. Any other questions about 90 Temple? Okay, clean energy communities. So tomorrow with DPW. We have a meeting about spending the $90,000 grant. The paperwork will go in for the $150,000 grant. So now we're up to $240,000 in unmatched funds that we will be eligible for. The question becomes, how much do we want to play this game? Because if we invest the 90,000 and the 150,000, we will likely be able to qualify for 262,000, again, of unmatched funds. So I have made a table that has multiple ways in which we could get potentially, I mean, we have to do work and the work has to work and be successful, but that we could potentially get to this grant. To get 262,000, we have to be there by October 1st, otherwise the amount goes down. But to that end, we hired NEST, Network for Sustainable Tomorrow, for the community campaigns. Successful community campaigns, which happened this summer, so they're in the timeline for that October 1 deadline, could get us to that $262,000 grant if you choose to purchase the things needed. So Erin had her first day today. Laura showed her around. Some of you might have met her. We have her until the summer. Right now, we're working on schedules of what events we could have. If anybody has ideas or knows who would want to sponsor a community campaign event, I will happily listen. And the whole point is to get information out there. What we'll be talking about is energy efficiency, which doesn't get us points in the Clean Energy Communities program, but it's the right thing to do. Everybody can get a free energy audit. You just have to sign up for it. If you're a low to moderate income resident, you can get free money to upgrade your heating system in your house. We want to tell people about that program. There's a community solar. If you sign up, you can get 10% off your electricity bill. If you're low to moderate income, you can get 20% off your NYSEG supply and delivery charges for electricity. That's a real meaningful thing. The last one is heat pumps, which, you know, there's electricity is high now. You have to think about it as a longer term thing. The heat pump system is certainly not for everybody, but it's there. There's federal incentives, and we will talk about that. So those are all of the topics that will come up in this community campaign. And my vision as I see it now is if we could get to that $262,000 grant, the wastewater treatment plant uses 90% of the electricity in this village. If we could buy EVs and buy electric landscaping equipment and do stuff to get us points to get to that big grant, then we could use potentially that money for energy upgrades to the wastewater treatment plant, or 90 Temple Street, Waste Street, you know, whatever, but to actually invest the money for the village to save energy and save money. So that's it. That's what I got. Any questions?
I don't,
Lots of them.
sounds great.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks, Julie.
Thank you, Julie.
Remember some public comment. What else we got? I see Kathy had her hand up. We're gonna get to you guys in a minute for after public comment.
Thank you.
Question about garbage on Front Street. For many moons, like 42 years ago, Doc Almack, his son, Dr. Chris Almack, and their family would enjoy the parade from their residence, their Chris's office. And still, this was Saturday. Today, there's still a big 40 yards of garbage out in front of their house. My neighbor, Jeff Brown, has got ditto, you know. Whose idea was to put that garbage there? And it also, or yours, Kathy. But that's about the most embarrassing thing I've ever seen. And I've lived on Front Street since 1998.
We totally get you. We told them to put those dumpsters in the corner of Draper Park. And they didn't
Well,
do
that
it.
certainly isn't there.
I know.
That's pretty damn embarrassing.
And
And there's a lot of rats. I don't know if anybody's got rats on the river. I don't know anybody that doesn't have rats on the river. How do you like that? Yeah, well, if you live near the river, you got rats.
Yeah, they're no fun either.
Well, we have a service that comes in and takes care of them, but they're pronounced.
Yes.
That's why I got 10 cans.
Yeah, Charles got 10 cans. Yeah.
And there's few on Main Street too.
Yeah.
They do move around.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so it wasn't us that told them to put it there. And I'm gonna bet they don't have permits.
I don't know why anybody would have left it there, is what my point is.
What's that?
Who put them there?
HOM
HOM.
for the Strawberry Fest.
They haven't had them there.
Nope, never.
No.
And I thought they were kind of weird when we went by. I was like, that's a weird spot.
They're still there.
Yeah, they need to go, for sure. So we'll get a hold of them and make sure.
They
go.
should have never been put there to begin with.
No, and they should have been gone Sunday. Today.
They should have been gone Saturday. Shouldn't have been there,
Because everything else is cleaned up from the fence.
as far as I'm concerned. Look at it.
Any other public comment?
I do.
Sure.
Hi, my name is Chris Marcosi. I don't live inside the village, but I still have concern about something. So anyways, I was just wondering if anybody else here is a veteran or knows veterans or knows of anybody that has PTSD. I do. That's why I have Rui here. Obviously, I had to get her up to the car, but anyway, the reason why I'm here is today I found out something that kind of disturbed me, and I didn't realize that this has been going on for 3 years. But I found out that the Owego American Legion had applied to have a sign put out in front of their place. They have been very instrumental in helping me, big time. So when I found this out, I decided to get involved in this, and I understand that it's probably already been settled, but I would like you to at least consider it one more time. The American, I have a hard time speaking without her.
Okay.
The American Legion is a non-profit patriotic veterans organization, And the Owego Appalachian Owego American Legion, as well as all the other American Legions, focus on service to veterans, service members, as well as our community. I am here to propose the board amend your no sign discussion for an outdoor sign that they have already purchased. An informational sign amplifies knowledge of the meetings, as well as the events, etc., for veterans as well as our community. Yet the OHPC, as well as one of the 2 code enforcers and some of the board members have voted no, and including, I guess, to no variance, because I spoke to you and you said that I needed to get an application. Come to find out that's already been done, and I got my ducks in a row to find out what I needed to do to come here today. It was all today, so excuse me if I'm overspeaking everything that you've already been through, but anyways, the Owego American Legion was established decades ago. My grandfather, my uncles, everybody that I know of have always been involved in that, as well as the VFW. Anyways, it was there long before the OHPC ever became a society, okay? The American Legion was never approached by them, as far as I know, from talking to other members of it, and it has never been considered a residence, okay? The Owego American Legion should not be held to the Historical Society's rules and regulations. First off, by the way, I checked the Tioga County real estate property zones. Coella, remember his place? I know you do, because you're as old as I am. And the Bellevue Lockwood Inn and the Owego American Legion are considered commercial there. So even though it's residential, they are already put in that tax, or that map as being commercial. I don't understand why the village map as well as the county map are different from each other. The RSS building or house next door is put in as being a single family, and obviously that's not that, because I've even drove school bus and took kids to that place, and it's definitely not a single family facility. So anyways, as Ruby and I traveled through the historical parts of the village, I saw replacement windows that were Andersons over the top of the Wild Turkey, or whatever you guys want to call it now, Beer Bellies. The new coffee shop down on North Avenue, they've got regular windows in it. Back years ago, Wes's was there back in whenever, and my godfather who owned it had to put in replacement windows all the time. Obviously, they weren't going to be windows that were historical windows, okay? I used to work for Susquehanna Printers, and when Jim Boschweit was alive, we wanted to put up a whole new awning up there, and we wanted a remote control one, and the Historical Society wouldn't allow it. So we had to put in one of those arm wrenching crank penis up bull crap. And the reason why I know that is because I'm the one that had to do it. I had to open it, I had to shut it. I went by there today, there's an automatic one. So obviously, there's amendments to all different things. Even 2 doors down from the American Legion, there's a house that has vinyl decking. Okay, so obviously they also got an amendment. I don't understand why this place can't get an amendment for their sign. Let's see, sorry. By the way, I also wrote this with a broken arm. The final say is up to the village. It's the way I feel about the village board, okay? The code enforcement, there's 2 of them. One of the code enforcers happens to be an American Legion patriot or worker, or patriot, you know what I mean. Yes, thank you. So he wasn't able to, of course, vote yes or no. I do believe that, it would have been a split thing between the 2 of them, because I'm sure that he probably would have said yes for it. It really is going to be helpful for the community, big time. It's not going to take away from anything. If you really want us to do something like historical to it, we'll put a wooden sign around it with little scrolls on it. Anything to make it look a little bit more historical. But, I mean, he even lives across the road. Would you have a problem with it? Bingo.
Not at all.
We have a petition out with over 500 signatures. If they were open today, I would have gone and got the thing. Please rethink and reconsider, and due to the fact that, like I said, once a society, which is the OH, the final say is yours. Consider it, please. Thank you.
You don't have to anyway, we'll give you 2 more signatures. Thank you, you did a great job.
I'm sure some of us.
All right,
can
I'm
play
off to be with Ruby. Bye, everybody.
Right, you want to talk? That's you want to talk?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, hello, everyone. My first time at a village board meeting. My name is Les Wagner. I'm a lifelong resident of the town of Owego, but I've never been the village of Owego. Over the last year or so, I've become involved with Candy Fitz, who's in the line of the Pompellis, and her daughter Alicia Pompelli Saratani in the line of the Pompellis. So about a year ago, we traced the genealogy of the Pompellis from 1727 up till current. The complete chart, which I have a copy of, and the museum now has a copy of. So I've given copies of our research to the museum. That led us to doing a study of the homes of the Pompellis. So I did a brochure, all the homes on Front Street from the bridge down to William Street, when they were built, who lived in them, significant owners. And we're currently doing a study from Church Street down to John Street, actually all the way around to the red light. When the homes were built, current owners, highlighting any homes that were occupied by Pompelli. So you got Raphael Pompelli, James Pompelli, Charles Pompelli down there. So I'm through with the one on the west end of Front Street, working on the one on the east end. And during this, I've had a great deal of contact with Peter Gordon, who's the town historian. So we have a county historian, Emma Sedor, she's the county. We have the town historian, who is Peter Gordon, and we have the village historian, who is Alicia Vasilou or something like that. And so I become involved with these people, and it actually all began with a conversation I had with John Spencer down at the bookstore. Peter Gordon overheard me asking John a question and said he thought he could help. So a month ago, I was at the VFW with Candy, and she was on the committee, the Evergreen Committee. So I came down here and attended that meeting with Candy. Her daughter Callie is on the Friends of Evergreen Committee, two different committees. And the people on those committees would like to do something up at Evergreen for a walking trail in the woods. So if you're familiar with Evergreen, I'm sure most people are, you go up the road to the past where the main building is there, supervisor's house, or what do you call that?
Caretaker's
Caretaker's cabin, and you go up to the Civil War section, take a right, you come across the significant Pompelli tomb, which I've got documented for everyone who's inside it for the first time. And there's a copy of this at the museum. So the museum's got the copy of the Pompelli wall. And then last week, Candy and Alicia and I did the same thing with the William Pompelli wall, which has never been documented. So it used to be open at one time, and then Darcy, Candy's sister, put a lock on it so that people wouldn't go in and out of it. And then we have documented everyone who's inside the William Pompelli wall, and a copy of that is now at the museum. So, so there's getting to be a lot, there's always been an interest in Evergreen, except I think it's growing now. So Peter Gordon especially would like to create a walking trail up on top. So if you're facing Sassanaloft and the village is beyond, the river's over here, to the left, the village owns about 1,000 foot of the ridge. So according to Rusty, so Rusty came up last week with Kevin Millar because he had heard about it, and Rusty wanted to see for himself. And coincidentally, I happened to be up there, what the game plan was. So even though I'm a newbie to the Friends of Evergreen, I'm the guy who's doing most of the footwork. So the footwork that I've done, my philosophy on this project is to keep it simple. No cutting of trees. There might be one or two trees this size that we cut down. I like leaving small trees on a walking trail because you get a little older, they're nice to steady yourself on. My main objective, if you take that land 50 foot back from the edge, it has a slope of about like that. And as you get nearer the edge, it gets a slope like this. And there's a geotrail that runs along the edge. So my thought was and is to move the trail back about 50 foot from the edge so that it's fairly flat, and organize a work crew and get rid of the tripping hazards. We don't want to cut trees. We just want to clear the ground of tripping hazards so that people can walk. So what I've done over the weekend, I was up there again today, is I went to ProMart. I bought 1,000 feet of string, and I have on the lower side, starting at Sasana Loft, just to the east of Sasana Loft, I have put twine, and then I have put markers on it. So I'm gonna start with Rusty, and I'm starting with Sasana Loft. You're looking at Sasana Loft from a distance. That'll be your starting point. Then what I would recommend is we cross that ditch that's there of light fill next to Sasana Loft, as if you're there, so there's no tripping hazard getting in.
Because there's just that one little grate now to get across.
Well, no, there's grate, but the grass between the grate and Sasana Loft. So I wouldn't even use the grate. So pass that around.
Yep.
Pass it around. And then what I did is I ran the string and I flagged it about every 20 feet so that you can see where the trail would be. And I took pictures of tripping hazards where the trail would be. And those are what I propose to remove. So I run a sawmill. I've been in the woods my whole life. I'm certified with a chainsaw. I always put on chainsaw boots, chaps, helmet, glasses, chainsaw gloves. I would be the person who would go up there with your permission, and I'd do it as early as tomorrow morning, because I'm going out of town on Wednesday.
Hey, you got a tick on your shirt. No.
But I would propose that I cut there's limbs and trees that are across the trail. I would cut those into 4, 6, 8 foot lengths so that we could just put them to the downhill side of the trail. And then if we want to go back up through later, I say we, probably me, and put in mulch, we'd have some containment on the lower side. So there's just pictures of different debris.
Using something like that.
This one, 8, shows the end of the property. There's a posted sign there. Eric Pianosi owns the adjacent land. He's got posters there and some red flagging. And then what I did, instead of walking back the trail, I thought I'd walk the edge of the trail to show what you would be missing. Nothing. You're gonna be missing a lot of leaves. Because if you look over the edge, there is no view unless the trees are clear. So my thought would be, let's start simple, just create a trail and see what people think of it. If, we find, wow, there's a lot of interest in it, hey, we can expand it later. But in the meantime, there would be no money outlaid, no money at all. It's just gonna be effort on my part. And Peter Gordon, Fran from the Friends of Evergreen are organizing a work crew. And we would move the limbs and debris, the tripping hazards, and put it to the side of the trail. So the B's is when I was walking back. You don't get a view of the village until you get down to Sasana Law Monument, where someone cleared the land a few years ago. So anyway, I think I'm looking for, as a friend of Evergreen, for permission to go up there with a chainsaw tomorrow morning and cut the ground debris, the tripping hazards, so that a work crew could go up later and set it to the side. So I'm not asking for myself, I'm asking for the Friends of Evergreen.
Yeah, well, the Evergreen Cemetery Committee, well, the person in charge of the cemetery is Fred Ulrich.
Oh,
So
okay.
he's the one that says yes or no, on you doing that, and
Mike? Rusty? Before I address Mr. Wagner, is there anybody else that's going to do public comment? Because I didn't want to, you want to do it later, or you want to do it now? I didn't want to get us to get rolling on this a whole lot if somebody else.
Oh, go ahead and get rolling on this.
Okay. So when this was proposed to us with Peter and Fran here a couple weeks back, some of us had, we didn't know anything about it and we wanted to know more about it. So we said, let us find out. One of the things that we were worried about, is there's an old trail there that's farther to the road that's lower, that walks along the cliff. And I was afraid that's where the trail was gonna be at that time. So when we went and looked at that, we're not anywhere near that. That piece was okay. So Peter and Kevin and I and Les looked at this. And I don't know who else might have gone up there, but.
I blocked the trail.
You went up?
So it's,
Did you see the flag?
the red flag. So all of my particular concerns were taken care of when we went up and looked at what they were gonna do, that it was gonna be far away from anybody falling, other than just like kids in the Grand Canyon can fall in, but it's gonna be far away from there. It's gonna meander a little bit because it's gonna miss trees, which is kind of neat. And there's also a thought, but it's not here yet, so it's gonna go straight up, but maybe later, a next step is that we, at the end, instead of now it goes straight up, you come back, we turn it to the left on our property and make a circle around farther in, something like that, maybe later, but for now. Stage two, for now. I'm very comfortable with it. I was wanting to know more. I'm very comfortable with this.
I'm good with it.
Thank you for doing that research. You good? So, do I have permission to go up tomorrow with a chainsaw, fully geared?
Yeah, my guys will be up there also.
Yeah, I see someone cleared in front of Sasanwalk the other day.
Yeah, they're working that's lot 4, so they're cleaning lot 4 now as you're coming up.
Okay.
That side. Yeah, you're more than welcome. The only thing, I put Peter to work with you. And I would make, no, I'm serious, I am dead serious, because he loves to work with wood.
Yeah.
Have him make signs, entrance, this is the walking trail.
Yeah. I think another concern, at the very end of the trail is the Eric Pianosi property.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, so I've got on my phone Onyx, which shows where your land properties are and stuff. And there's a road that goes right at the edge of his boundary, and it indicates that road is on Pianosi, not on the village. Is that correct?
Yes.
So it's right on the line there. It's
right on the line. Who knows what? You'd have to have it surveyed. But my concern is, if it's Eric Pianosi's and not the village, we need to make sure we put signage there.
Yeah.
So we don't go trespassing on a neighbor.
That's what I'm saying. Peter's very good at that stuff, and that was my suggestion, is put entrance in where the walking path is, and then make it pronounced that that's Pianosi's property on that side.
Gotcha, yeah.
That's what I was.
We'll sign that to Peter.
Absolutely.
He's not here, so give him all.
Rusty, I heard what we just said. Fred, would you be interested in making some sort of a motion? Because it's really not up to Fred that we allow this stuff to happen. He has a degree of control over these things, but the board needs to make that. Yeah, the board needs to make
Okay, well,
a determination.
This walking trail has been discussed by the cemetery committee and by the Friends of Evergreen, and so there's no disagreements on, the trail itself. So I would propose that since we don't normally allow individual citizens other than employees of the village to use power tools, I would like to propose an exception with Fred's authorization to allow Les Wagner to use his power tools up in that.
Would you add to that you'll allow him to lay out the trail?
We've got it laid out, yeah.
Well, then, yeah, there needs to be one chief, okay.
Okay.
I don't know, I'm just, whoever's gonna be in charge of the church clerk of the works of this.
I'll second that.
Were you adding Les to that? I don't know if you wanted to do that or not.
Well, Les joined the cemetery.
I'd say Les is part of the Evergreen, right?
Yeah, he's part of their committee.
Part of that anyway.
So we're giving the authority to the committee to make those decisions.
Yeah.
Well, that's fine, I'm just,
Yeah.
that's what we need to do. We need to decide who's gonna make the decisions. Thank you. I'll second, or did you second, Charles?
Any other discussion on the trail?
I just want to make sure you were not going to be up there alone first thing in the morning in the woods with a chainsaw by yourself. You'd rather have somebody else for safety.
I was probably going to be.
This is Les Wagner.
Yeah.
But if I need to be, could I get? You
My
wanna
guys
come
are
up?
there.
Huh?
My guys are there.
Oh, you guys are there?
They're there
Yeah.
first thing in the
Okay.
morning.
what I'm gonna do, I would assume I can do that with tank of gas. Tank of gas and chainsaw is about an hour.
You know Dave
So-
Thompson?
Yeah,
He's there, he's the one that's running the crew.
okay, okay.
You get with him when you guys.
Yeah, so I'll go up and touch base with him.
Yeah.
And then, I've got to steal home 46 and cakewalk.
Right.
But accidents do happen.
Okay.
Thanks, David.
Laura?
Just to note the county GIS supplied us with an overlay map of the village-owned property of the cemetery.
Mhm.
So we have that for those who can like look up the GIS systems. So,
You mean to identify that boundary?
yeah, so we
Yeah.
can look up our property lines and yeah, just like what we own up there.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's, if I look at a map, I know what it is, but is it there? Or is it there?
I actually asked, for work, so.
To within a foot or two?
To literally the line, to
The line.
GPS points, so if I can get that data,
Oh,
I can put it on a program.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
it's,
Yeah, that would
it's
be
available
interesting.
to us.
That'd
Yeah.
be interesting.
But he's not gonna go anywhere. He's not gonna go anywhere trespass. He's gonna be.
Yeah, I mean, we'll come up tomorrow.
All right, so any more discussion about the motion? Okay, so we'll vote on this, to let Les go up there, cut some trees down, well, not trees down, but
Yeah.
trees that are down, cut them. Okay, Rusty?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Tracy?
Yes.
Charles?
Yes.
And yes. I called you Tracy, you're Jerry.
Okay, sorry.
At least I didn't call you Ed.
I'm glad you're.
Yep.
You're good.
Good?
Good. Thanks, Les.
Thank you.
That's why we do.
For the Friends of Evergreen.
Julie, what you got?
Okay.
I have one really, really quick one.
Okay.
In the name of energy conservation, it would be good if this thermostat were not set to 67 degrees.
If you can figure out how to run that, so you get better than us.
So if we could like make this a more energy conserving temperature,
Yeah, good
it
luck.
would be good.
Good luck.
I was afraid you were gonna tell
There's a
us he
whole
had to have an
computer in the
electric
back room
chainsaw.
No.
If you can teach us how to use it, you're better than us, because there's a whole computer back there that resets that thing all the time. It's either freezing in here or hot.
Can the installer come in?
Yeah, good luck.
Good luck.
Probably.
Yeah, it's just because it is a lot of extra energy and it's freezing.
I know.
Okay.
It's hot over there, probably. This building has heat pumps, by the way.
Yeah, I know.
All right, Mike, you got something?
All right, I got a couple.
Who are you?
Who am I?
Yeah.
Anonymous.
No,
Mike Tavardi.
Some people don't know who you are.
Mike Tavardi. All right, first of all, I want to agree with Christine. I think it's ridiculous that the Legion was not allowed to put that sign up. It was completely ridiculous. I understand why you gotta have OHPC, but at some point, modern has gotta meet the old. And I think that was completely ridiculous that they denied that. I also have other issues with OHPC, but I won't go there. But the one I will go with, I think, is I see a lot in their meeting minutes where they talk about one specific code enforcement officer, who I think should have absolutely nothing to do with OHPC because he owns a historic building, commercial building in the village. So to me, that's conflict of interest. He shouldn't have anything to do with any of that stuff. But, and they need to fix their map that they still haven't fixed that I confronted them about years ago. The other thing is, and I didn't have a chance to go through and prepare everything because I wasn't sure I was gonna be here tonight, but I heard the last meeting, they were discussing this property over here, and the village wanted to get it. And I understand it's already off the tax rolls and all this, but you've got 80 properties that are owned by the village right now. And about 20 of those are usable properties that the village uses, OPD, fire department, sewage, all that. Should or get off the pot and get rid of those 60 properties and put them back on the tax rolls. You know, that's gotta be eaten into Fred's budget because he's gotta go around and mow all these empty lots, clean the sidewalks. They can still be sold with the condition that they can't be built on. It's ridiculous for all those properties to be sitting there, now, I gotta watch my language. That is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. You have empty lots sitting there that the village has to take care of. Village isn't getting reimbursed for taking care of those properties that FEMA decided that they needed to be torn down. There's no reason they can't be sold, in my opinion. And some of them aren't FEMA buyouts. You have some of them that were purchased by the land bank. There's one on Fox Street, the land bank was torn down. The deal was the village was gonna get rid of that property, they were gonna sell it. It's still sitting over there.
They can maybe sell the FEMA buyout property, but they can never, I'm not sure if they can sell it, but you can never build on it.
Yeah,
But
that's
that's
what I mean.
because
You can't
an
build on
owner
it.
chose.
There's no reason why the
Right.
people next door can't buy that and expand their yards.
That may be.
Could we be involved in this conversation up here?
Sorry, I see, but an owner chose a FEMA buyout. That was the owner's
That was the,
property.
right, so, but that was the property owner's choice, that the village is now having to take care of the property and pay for it. That's not fair to the village, it's not fair to the village taxpayers.
But the village was the applicant for the property.
But either way, I think it's ridiculous, I mean, you need to figure something out, get rid of these properties. Fred shouldn't have to be taking care of them.
I agree.
How much money of that's coming out of his budget every year, having to have guys shovel snow and mow these lawns?
So the FEMA ones are tricky, like the example of the Fox Street Land Bank one, that just transferred from the land bank to the village 2 weeks ago, maybe. So that probably, we'll be looking to get rid of that soon.
You know, but, and I know there are other properties out there that weren't FEMA buyouts, they're just vacant lots that the village has. Do something with them. If you can't sell them, find some way to make them usable.
Can I ask a question regarding that?
Sure.
The FEMA properties, I know they can't be sold non-residential.
I don't care.
But can we do something with solar?
They
I've built solar on floodplains previously,
They just reimburse some of their money.
it's up a little higher, but municipal solar obviously back feeds municipal properties. And puts more power into the village of Owego. Anything like the old school, I know somebody owns that one. Perfect spot along Owego Creek.
Oh, yeah.
Just build it above the floodplain. That's what the post do, they put it above the floodplain and then you're producing power for the village.
That football field would be great, but yeah, that's, a lot of the lots we own are little tiny things.
Gotcha. All right. Just curious.
But that's a good idea. All right, so are we, I don't know where Rusty's right there.
It's gonna pour if anybody has like open windows outside or anything.
Coffee. Does anybody else's cars have open windows out there?
Oh, was it raining?
It's gonna close.
I don't know. I wasn't looking at that. I just wanted to get whatever Paul had before he had to go.
All right, so should we, good back there? Something going on back
You're
there.
doing your own thing.
Mike?
Yeah, I'm done.
We're done,
Okay.
here,
All
we'll
right,
finish the
so-
conversation out here.
So let's go, we have our invited guests, which are from New York class. So, which I forgot about on the agenda.
Are they on there?
But they're online.
Hi, everyone.
All right, so do you want to give us your pitch?
Who is this?
So this is.
Our pitch. So we'll tell you a little bit about our program. I'll start off by introducing myself. My name is Kathy Savell. I'm with my colleague Chris Starr. I'm going to start by introducing myself in the program, and then I'll turn it over to Chris to give you a little bit of information that adds value to the program and to the village. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Yes.
You're good.
Okay. So for those of you who don't know me, I know Fran has known me for some time now through the NICOM Association, which many cities and villages across New York State are members of. But I too have been a public servant, I guess you would say. I've been a finance director for most of my career for 25 years. Most of my time was spent in the county of Monroe, not too far away. But I also sat as chairman of the New York Class Board for 10 years. And I share that information with you because I was a practitioner. I used the program. I'm very familiar with public finance law and how budgets work. And what I have found over my career is oftentimes boards tend to focus on where can we cut expenditures instead of in the same conversation looking at how can we increase revenues, right? We're always looking to keep the taxes down, but not necessarily looking at other options in terms of increasing revenue. We're in a really nice place and time right now with the interest rates being today at almost 5.23%, 5.2262 with New York class, the ability for the village to earn some significant interest earnings on your funds. We were able to secure some of your reserve fund balances and did a little bit of an analysis on our end to see just how much money could you have earned over the last year. And I don't know how much you would have earned at your local banks, but most of the local banks in your area, and again, because we're dealing with over 1,400 entities and investing assets under management over $14 billion for both of our programs across the state, we have a general sense of what some of the local regional banks are paying in your area, because while your balances for the village are large to you in the overall scheme of things, the banks are looking at having to collateralize that money and maybe not paying you the amount of interest that a cooperative program like ours pays. The reason we're able to pay such a significant amount of interest more than what the local banks are is merely because of the cooperative nature. People pool their money, municipalities pool their money across the state, and collectively they're able to garner economies of scale. So instead of having a couple of $1,000 here and there, maybe even $100,000 collectively to invest, you're being looked at as though you're investing over $14 billion, which is what our pool administrators are looking at when they look to buy securities and investments on behalf of over 1,400 municipalities across the state. The program's been around since 1989. So we've been through many fiscal cycles throughout the years. We've had times when interest rates have dropped. We've also had times where interest rates are very high, and we anticipate the rates staying pretty high through the end of the year. I'm going to turn it over to Chris just to tell you a little bit about how we go investing and why those funds are secure and why we're able to garner the higher interest rates. Chris? Oh, I can't hear you.
Oh, yeah, are you on mute? You're not on mute, so.
Can we hear Chris?
No, we can't.
I can't hear you, Chris. Oh, having a little bit of technical difficulties. So let me just, I can talk to the talking points that Chris is going to talk about. So under general municipal law, we're restricted to only be able to buy investments, and those would be the same investments that you as an individual village can invest in. So we can't invest any differently than you. So what we do is we have a portfolio team that goes out and they buy U.S. treasuries. They're backed by the full faith and credit of the U.S. government. They buy CDs that are also backed by the Federal Home Loan Letter of Credit, which is basically the federal government. And we also buy repurchase agreements that are collateralized at 102%. All of your funds, along with everybody else in the program, are kept by our custodial bank, which is U.S. Bank. So your funds are, in fact, in a bank. They're not under somebody's mattress. They're not in a closet or a vault somewhere. They're actually with the U.S. Bank. The program is operated by a board of governors. The board of governors is made up of 15 members of finance people throughout the state that represent all of those members in our program, which include counties, towns, villages, cities, school district, fire districts, and fire departments. And I share that information with you because oftentimes what happens is once a town or village joins, then their fire district may join and others join to ride the benefit of the program. Chris, can you hear us?
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you now.
Fantastic. I'm so sorry about that, everyone. Thanks for having me as well tonight. I'm Chris with New York Class. Definitely a technical difficulty. But just to add a couple of points to Kathy there, really, New York Class, as she said, it's been around a long time, since 1989, so 35 years. About 2 years ago, I joined New York Class. Before that, I spent about 8 years at JP Morgan Chase, working in credit risk. And really, there's not a safer product on the market for local governments to use in tandem with their local bank or banks than a New York Class. All of the securities are made and collaterals in accordance with state law, just like Kathy said. So the program can only invest in products that the village invests in. And today we're seeing, stress in the regional banking sector. Right here in New York, there was a bank that failed last year. And we don't foresee any bank failures coming, but it's very important to have another option that you can diversify with. And that's New York Class. It's completely liquid, so you have access to the village's dollars every day, and that interest compounds every day. As Kathy said, that rate is at 5.23% as of tonight, actually. And one of the other benefits is whenever the Federal Reserve does cut interest rates, which the market expects, could be towards the end of this year, but it's really a guessing game. None of us have a crystal ball. But when that does happen, New York Class's rate will come down quite slowly because part of the portfolio is invested in U.S. Treasuries, whereas banks typically will cut rates quite quickly after the Fed cuts rates. So there's a number of advantages to the interest that the village could earn with New York Class that kind of separates it from a bank and makes it unique and provides you with some of these benefits that all these other local governments are enjoying today. And there's more than 1,400 local governments now in the program today.
So Chris mentioned the interest. I'm not sure that either one of us mentioned, but interest gets posted every day. So if you put your money in today and you decide tomorrow you want to pull that money out, you can pull out the principal and the interest earned on that money. If you choose to leave the money in the program, interest will compound daily. So you're going to be earning interest not only on the principal balance, but on the interest that is earned. We tell people if you try the program and you don't like it, you can get out of the program. But we have not found where people pull their money out of the program because when they see the interest accrue at a significantly higher rate than what they're normally used to, they find it very beneficial. But it's always an option. We do not have any minimum or maximum balance requirements. We have no restrictions on how frequently you take your money out. So in New York State, money market accounts are restricted to 6 transactions a month. We have none of those restrictions. We have transaction fees affiliated with our program, but those are absorbed by the program prior to interest being posted and paid out to all of our participants. So you will never have to call Chris or I and say, what's the best rate of interest you can provide us? It doesn't matter if you have 200 million with us or $1,000 with us. Everybody receives the same rate of interest, which in my opinion is why the smaller entities have the most to gain because you can't get that kind of an interest rate on the size of dollars that you're investing. Mm-hmm. And at the same time, keep it liquid. You could go to your bank and say, we're thinking of going with New York Class. And they may say, you know what, don't take your money out, leave it with us, but we'll give you 5.20 in a CD, but that means you got to tie that money up. Should you need that money, you would have to cash the money in and you would lose the interest earned, and there could potentially be other penalties affiliated with breaking that CD early. But those are really the only options that you have other than going with a local government investment pool, which is New York Class.
Mm-hmm. And just to add one more thing to Kathy's points there, with New York Class, the village keeps its existing banking relationship. you just add New York Class. So it's another option, another tool for you to have. As Kathy said, there's no bills with New York Class. So there's no cost to join the program. Even if you don't have $1 in the account, you'll never see a bill. Really, it's just a tool there for you to use to help you maximize interest earnings safely while also having access to those dollars every day.
Well, question I have, we have separate categories of funds. Can we keep those separate categories? I mean, do we have to consolidate any of our funds?
Great questions. Yeah, I'll take that one, Kathy. So with New York Class, all New York Class participants have one master account with a master account number, but then you can establish as many sub-accounts as you want within your New York Class account to separate those funds and to track the interest separately on each of those sub-accounts. So, villages will see their general fund, will see, another fund for their operating dollars, capital reserve, any highways or projects going on, in addition to reserve dollars and tax dollars. You name it, you can park and create a sub-account in New York Class. Also, the monthly reporting is done for all New York Class participants. So really it's push button. There's not much that needs to be done by, either the village clerk treasurer or anyone at the village. The reporting's done for you and everything's audit ready as well.
So when I use the program, I would typically set up, I know we did an analysis for you on your reserve funds. Each of those reserve balances could be their own separate sub-account. And then as you decided to grow and use the program more, you could always add sub-accounts at that time.
And it's very easy to move funds between New York Class and your current local bank, just between those sub-accounts. You can move money right on our portal by a wire or by an ACH transfer. A wire moves same day, ACH transfer just moves overnight. And again, there's no transaction fees or limits with New York Class, so you can move money around as much as you'd like.
Anybody else have questions for New York Class? Thanks, guys.
Well, I know one of the, Dave has a question. I know one of the
your interest
comments
rates
I've
are.
heard is people are concerned.
No, you guys are talking. Go ahead. Same
No,
time.
I'm talking to them.
He's talking to them too, at the same time.
Okay. You mentioned that your interest rates are currently about 5.25. Is that correct?
Yep, 5.23 as tonight. And rates will stay around 5.25. The program is quite predictable. What's that? The outlook?
The average interest that you've been paying over the last 12 months.
Oh,
So
we'd have to look back. So we post our interest rates. We're required to post interest rates on a daily basis. There hasn't been a whole lot of movement over the last year. I would say they've been hovering right around 5.2 for the most part, going up or down a basis point, here and there, but there hasn't been a lot of movement. And Chris alluded to the fact that it's kind of tied to what the Federal Open Market Committee meetings do. If they decide that they're going to increase or decrease the rates, it's typically by a quarter or a quarter of a basis point, 25 basis points. They have not moved or they haven't lowered their rates now in a couple of meetings, and they're not anticipating lowering rates again until the end of the year. When they lower those rates, it directly affects the cost of U.S. Treasury. It's all tied to the federal, how much the feds are willing to loan money at. And again, in New York State, we're very restricted to how we can invest public funds. There is a requirement to keep the principal safe. And the safest place to put your money is with U.S. Treasuries because it's the full faith and credit of the federal government, right? Same with the Federal Home Loan Letter of Credit, full faith credit of the federal government. The only caveat to the program when people say, well, is it guaranteed, right? There's no guarantee in life. Your money is as safe as it is with a commercial bank. The only fear is if something were to happen to the federal government, right? We receive calls periodically. I got a call last May when the feds were talking about shutting down the government, right? Because they didn't have any more money. That's, I don't believe that's ever happened where the federal government has shut down, because they always extend their deadlines, or they come up with some type of a solution to keep the government open. But if the government, and I had somebody say, well, I'm going to pull my money out until after we know what the government's going to do. I said, well, where are you going to put your money? And they said, well, I don't know. Well, as as a board, you can't pull the village money out and put it in somebody's mattress. You can't put it at somebody's house. You have to put it with a bank. And if the federal government shut down, every bank across the country would have the same issue. So it's as safe as it can be. And that's pretty much predicated on the way general municipal law sets up the requirements for public funds.
Yeah, we don't always like what the federal government is doing, but they've always paid out their treasury bills. There would be big problems in our world if they didn't meet a treasury debt. And just to Kathy's point too, the rates are predictable. You're never going to be surprised one day and look at New York Class's rate and it's changed by 3%. It is very correlated to the Federal Reserve and what they're doing, which can just help you to predict when maybe it will be time to lock up a little bit of money into a CD or a treasury bill on your own. But right now, you don't want to do that with rates this high and competitive when you can have that liquid access to your dollars, especially when the Fed might not cut rates for another 6 months to a year. We'll see what happens with that.
And to Chris's point, there will come a time where you're going to want to get into a CD when rates start going down. And then you're going to keep some of your money liquid with New York Class. You're going to keep some of your money in a checking account to cover your outstanding checks or your payroll. And then you're going to have some tied up maybe for 6 months because you won't need it until towards the end of your fiscal year. Or in the case of your reserves, you won't need it at all.
And we're here to help with that as well. We're a very transparent group at New York Class. So even if you just wanted to talk to us about your cash flows or any general investment advice, we're very open and honest, and we do our best to serve the local governments, not keep every dollar with New York Class. So we're the first to recommend you might want to invest in a CD at a bank right now at that rate, but certainly not now with rates at 5.25 and the liquidity.
Chris, could you meet with our staff here at the village hall to help with setting up the accounts?
Absolutely. So if you have the registration packet, do you have that already, Fran?
I think we need a new one. I gave one ahead to Mike a year ago. And
yeah, who knows? We probably need a new one.
Yes.
No problem. We'll email you a copy of the registration packet. It's just a few pages. You can type up, each of the inputs, like the village's address, tax ID, which bank account you want to have linked to New York Class to move funds. And then you can list those sub-accounts you want to have open the day you log in. You can always open new sub-accounts later. And of course, there's a resolution template also in the registration packet. So you can pass that with the board to authorize the program. And then once we have that small packet completed, it's a very quick process. Our client services team will have a new account open for the village, generally within the same day or the next day of receiving that packet. And then absolutely, I'd be happy to spend time with anyone at the village to go through the account, show you how to use it. But it's very easy to use. New York Class participants are very complimentary of how easy the portal is to use and how easy it is to transfer funds. So yes, we'll be here for you along the way.
So to that point, Fran, the board would have to pass a resolution. It doesn't have to be the one that's in our packet. That's just a template that we provide. But if the board passed a simple resolution, like they would adding a bank, right, to your as an official depository, the board could pass a resolution to add New York Class as an official depository for the village, and that would be adequate. But it does require a board resolution to join the program.
other questions?
Anybody else have any questions for New York class? We'll get the paperwork.
Ask the
You know, we'll
questions
think of
now.
them as we go, because it's all snappy right now for us.
Well, another question then is, people have, concern that, we might lose some of our principal.
Sure.
New York State law has addressed that issue. Again, the safety of any public funds is paramount to any program, right? Even when you put it with the bank. Our custodial bank is US Bank. Again, and to Chris, when we talked about what type of securities we purchase, US Treasuries. If you ever needed your money, we have never not been able to pay out. I didn't mention that Standard & Poor's actually rates the program AAA-M. And what they actually do on behalf of the request of the board is they stress test the program. And I don't want to get too technical, but on a weekly basis, they actually take a look at the portfolio. They take a look at everybody's dollar, the amounts, the participants, and they do what's called a stress test. And what that stress test does is it basically looks at the portfolio and says, if everybody pulled their money out on the same day, would we in fact be able to redeem everybody's principal dollar and accrued interest to that date? And in 35 years, we've never failed that test. So again, it's a letter of assurance, it's a form of assurance that you would in fact get your money out.
Yeah, and just to add to Kathy's points, there's only 3 products that New York class is invested in. Those 3 products your village can invest in. Our firm is just doing that investing for the New York class participants. Each of those products is either FDIC insured or collateralized 100% and better, whether it's by the federal US government or it's in the form of a US Treasury as collateral. But there's full backing of 100% behind each of the investments in the portfolio. So you have the coverage there. It's just that you're covering it across 3 products, and some of it is a government backing, as opposed to a typical bank deposit you have today, which just has 100% collateral. And how does the village have its deposits collateralized today? Are you familiar with that?
You're all collateralized.
So here's the other thing to kind of keep in mind. When the bank provides you with a collateral statement, you want to take a look at it because, there are some banks out there that will have another bank hold the collateral, but you want to make sure that that secondary bank is in fact in good standing. So Chris alluded to a bank last year, Signature Bank, which is in Westchester County. They actually went in default last year. There were municipalities around the state that had funds with Signature Bank. They got their money out, but the federal government stepped in on top of FDIC insurance, which only insures up to $250,000. The federal government actually guaranteed deposits over $250,000. Did that mean they got their money out that same day? No. It's like any insurance policy. It's like a car insurance policy. You have an accident, the bank closes, you're not going to necessarily get your money the same day. You're going to get in line and they're going to provide you with access to those funds based on the FDIC insurance. Again, the federal government stepped in for last year for deposits over $250,000. We never want to be in that position, and we would never want you to be in that position. We actually have a credit team that on behalf of the program, they review the status of all banks across the country and worldwide, because many banks, as you know, are globally held banks, right? So we have banks operating here in the States that have their headquarters in, Hong Kong, in England, all over the place. And there are a lot of international activities that affect the financial stability of the U.S. funds, right? Our credit team and our portfolio team That's all they do every day, all day, is monitor that on behalf of our participants. That doesn't necessarily take place at the local level, right? I'm not sure how long the board has been around, but in my 30-year experience, years past, we used to have government and bankers, and they knew all of that. Now we have regional banks, and you might go to the bank and talk with your local branch manager, but they may not know anything about New York State government and banking. So that's kind of a blast from the past, but with New York Class, you are still securing that knowledge and that expertise.
And one small point to just add, with Signature Bank, when Signature Bank did fail last year, New York Class, we saw a lot of new accounts come in. And if they already had an account but were using Signature Bank, they moved additional funds to New York Class, specifically for the diversification, the safety, and liquidity that New York Class has. So that should help tell you a little bit about how safe the program is as well, that we were first in line for depositors when that bank failed. And since then, more small entities, like villages and fire districts, departments, have been adding New York Class specifically for that reason. In case their bank, their small regional bank, fails, at least they have another option where their deposits are accessible and it's liquid. So important points to add there.
Anybody else have anything? Thank you guys for presenting. Thank you.
You're welcome. If you have any
Thanks for having us.
questions, we're available. And as Chris alluded to, we have a client services team that is available when and if we're not available. Okay.
And we'll send over the latest registration packet so you have it. Let us know if you have any questions, and we're happy to help.
Okay. Well, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a
Have a
great
good
night.
evening.
All right. So let's go on to our department head reports.
Mr. Mayor, could we get the fire chief out of here?
Yep. Start with the fire department.
Keep him here.
We have a new application.
Yep.
It's on the agenda. Yeah, let me just take it. Yeah. So, we have a new Owego Fire Department fire member, TJ Mead, 52nd, 52 Delphine Street, Owego, New York. Like being company 3. So, I'm making that motion to allow this to happen.
Second.
Okay. Did he pass fire board?
Yes. It's in my review. You got vetted.
Okay, good. Anybody have any questions about TJ? Fran?
Yes.
Terry?
Yes.
Charles?
Yes.
Rusty?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Jason? Beth? I vote yes.
Thank you. We escorted the OAMS course and then won at music in the park competition at Running Park. Assisted Owego Police in filming traffic barriers with water for the Strawberry Festival. We did a standby and fire police for the fireworks on Friday night. On Saturday during the festival, we did the parade and we had a crew on standby. We also left with 2 trucks and 2 full crews to go to Appalachian during the Strawberry Festival, but we also maintained the engine and the ladder in the station just in case anything would happen in the town. Right now, utility truck 845, which was involved in the accident last year, is being lettered at Federal Safety, so that's out of service for the next few days. And our boats will be out of service tomorrow for maintenance of the Ithaca, what is it called, Finger Lakes Boating Center. Okay. You kept the kids cool today, right? Oh yeah. And today we participated in a cool summer splash to end the school year.
That looked fun.
Oh,
Do you want to vote on accepting?
It's probably my stomach, sorry.
Oh, that's Friday. Fire department.
Yes.
I'm gonna get one inside, Red.
Yeah, I vote over. It's ready. Big GMC, right?
He'd like to enter his vote for TJ Mead. Okay.
What'd you vote?
Yes.
Yes, okay, we go.
Okay.
You didn't hear me?
And for me,
So Eric, is the battle joined between you and Paul about the best paperwork that we can be given?
He yelled at me for doing color today.
Thank you. You're up one on him. Thank you.
Thank you guys, as always. Oh, must have ran out. Big call.
Oh, I got a call.
Yeah. Sure.
Excellent.
For the month of May, haulers have brought us 581,000 gallons of septic for a operating revenue of $30,600. Along with that, we've turned about 350 to 400 tons of biosolid compost out to anybody and everybody that wants it. I received a call today from Glenn Martin, something about the 4-H wanting to maybe run sewer lines. This is totally new to me, so I
heard about it.
To the attention.
I didn't know about the sewer lines, but the fair board has gotten a bathroom trailer, which apparently is like a trailer. It's not like a little thing. It's like a 60-foot trailer with actual bathrooms in it that they want to hook up over there somewhere.
Oh, there's not really anything close.
Yeah.
It's over there.
Our
line ends like halfway up Elm Street here, and then all we've got is the bathrooms up front.
I know they have some ideas of tanks and stuff, so I don't know. Get with Eric. He had all kinds of ideas about it.
The only other thing is the board motion here.
Yes, and there's a change to the board motion.
Yeah.
So I guess, do you want to go over like the gist of what the motion's for? So everybody understand?
Okay, the motion is for us to be able to go into the parking lot area behind Lake Street towards the theater and do a dig from somewhere, yet to be determined, up to and through part of AutoZone's parking lot. It seems like a bajillion years ago, there was a power pole put in there, and it sat on top of the sewer line. And then when a new line was put in a year ago, it pretty much damaged beyond repair, the sewer line. The whole sewer system over there is a total mystery. The plans and even ownership has been lost to time. But we want to get in there. We feel that it's kind of a mirror image to the whole Court Street sewer situation. Right now, these people are having slow drainage, and it's just going to get worse. We just want to get in there to do a bypass to get them a sewer line back.
Rusty?
A year ago, what sewer line was put in over there like years ago?
Nice egg pole.
Nice egg pole.
Well, no, that's not what I heard. Okay. Yeah, we know the pole came there, and either the pole did go down, but whatever it did, the crappy tile pipe there is all crapped up, and whatever happened, that probably messed that right there. But it didn't. You know what happens when we start playing around there? Because that pole might have broken right there, but it didn't break all the rest of it. Do we want to be going in there and playing with that stuff right now?
We have to, because the sewer line's not working.
Well, we have to do something where the pole is, but how much do we want to do? How much do we want to get into over there is the question.
As little as possible.
I don't talk doesn't break.
Dirk, have you inserted the camera in there to see exactly where what the extent of the damage is and where it is?
We've had Martins over going through the main complainants sewer line, but since it's such slow drainage, cameras don't work underwater.
Right.
So you can't get any kind of image. All they can do is follow it out until they run into something solid that can be gotten through.
And then again,
In
you got a general idea of where
in
that's.
two different companies, Mr. Ruger and Martin's have both come in, and they've actually used a sound device to track where their camera is going, and both of them have dead nailed right to those poles.
A lot, it's, the line trace on the ground over there goes right to the center of the
Right
pole.
there.
Great. Dirk, does our line go under the, we were under the impression it goes under AutoZone.
Yes.
Yeah, which is its
We're
own
pretty
nightmare.
Sure.
Yeah.
Martin's has worked on, I don't know if it's Andy's barbershop or one of those, and they detected it goes under a fenced-in garbage dumpster right there.
Okay, it doesn't go under the building.
At least
We
that
hope
one
not.
doesn't. Other than that, we
Yeah,
actually got a clue.
might we think it might do that.
We hope not, we don't know.
Yeah.
Can we, instead of doing the sewer stuff, I mean, we'll, like, just to fix the one spot, but could we just have the utility pole moved instead of doing our underground work?
That's not my area.
So they could break something else?
They won't move it. They'll come and hold it. They won't move it. When you dig 7 foot down there on the pole, somebody better be holding it or all the lines are coming.
Yeah, so, yeah, electrified sewer.
Do we know what happens when, like, when they originally agreed that they were gonna be replacing poles and stuff, what did they say would happen, like, if any problems arise or anything? Like, can we contact them to help us?
He will help us. He'll hold the pole. That's the big thing. And if he can hold the pole and he has permission to dig, what is this, 6-inch main?
Yeah.
6-inch tile main, you can fix it and put it back together. Go around it, put a joint in it, call it good.
So that,
He give it. I see it won't work.
so that's the plan is, what our plan is to try and go where the pole is and fix there, not to try and fix things a long ways away.
He's
Yeah,
gonna probably dig that.
right now, we just wanna get, that 6-inch seems like a trunk line.
Yeah.
And all the other businesses are 4 inches
Yeah.
leading into that somewhere. We just wanna get in there, get to a good part of the 6-inch, bypass around that pole into the AutoZone dumpster area, find good line, and reconnect it, and then worry about everything else later.
Okay, yeah, you know,
Yeah.
finding a good line, good luck, we're gonna try.
So the motion, instead of on the agenda, we want to use the capital improvement reserve, sewer reserve. So that's the change of the motion.
Want to use that?
So it says resolved upon motion by, seconded by, and then to use that reserve, we have to schedule a public hearing. So to schedule a public hearing for Monday, July 1st, 2024 at 7 PM, 22 Elm Street, Owego, New York, to approve spending from the reserve for sewer capital improvement to repair a sewer line that runs from the back of the row buildings on Lake Street out to Church Street, and to repair and restore any disturbed areas to substantially the condition they were in prior to commencing work.
Is there a number in that, Mike?
There is no number.
So is that how we do it? We just say that we're gonna use the reserve, we don't say how much it's gonna be. What's that?
So, Mike,
Nate,
yep. So ideally, if we should have a number, a not to exceed number. I don't recall seeing a quote for that. And then also the reserve fund name is actually the repair reserve for sewer lines instead of the reserve for sewer capital improvements. So just confirmed that a few hours ago.
so do we have a number that we need to or want to put in there as a?
We don't have any kind of number yet. It was, just in the past couple weeks, I've just been looking for the permissions to actually get in there, do it. We've talked with, both Martins and Reeves. They're both willing to come in and do parts of it. I guess we walked Paul Reeves, and Martins through it so I can start getting with them, see what kind of numbers, they can throw in. So the big question is, we don't know what's down there. We don't know how long. This could be a 5-hour thing, or it could be 2 days. But we've been looking at whether it's actually us or not, but we can't even find that.
No, it's just that our attorney is telling us if we're going to have a public hearing and take money out of the reserve, we need to have a number. So we need to make up a number.
What's the highest number you heard amongst them when they were talking about it?
Nobody really shot us out a number.
10 grand, 20 grand, 100 grand.
I was hoping for 10 to 20.
Shall we put a
So-
number in there? Yes.
So folks, I would suggest, and Dirk, we have to remember the procurement policy, right? So if it's a capital works project, then the most the village can spend without competitively bidding it is $35,000. Anything less than that, you have to get quotes from vendors, and you'll have to double check the procurement policy to confirm exactly who you need to talk to, how many quotes specifically you need to get. So tonight, the village board is only setting a public hearing to consider authorizing use of the repair reserve for this. This does not actually authorize a particular vendor to go and do those things. And so I would suggest, I don't know how much money is actually in the repair reserve, but the most you could do is $34,999. And so, you could theoretically authorize that at your, as the number at your public hearing. And between now and the public hearing, Dirk, if you go out and get some quotes for the work to be done, the village board, when it actually passes the resolution authorizing use of it, can limit the number to less than that. And then actually authorize the vendor itself to go and do the work.
Mr. Mayor, the potential motion that you had quoted earlier with the change in the exact phrasage for the reserve, I move we set a public hearing for July 1st, 7 o'clock. For that motion that you said, and with the cap of $34,000.
I second.
Discussion on that. Has Nicely been notified of this? They put a poll on.
Is that something our DPW wants to tackle?
Oh, no.
Save us 34 grand?
So we're gonna do all our legwork in the next 2 weeks, and then, because that's when we're gonna have our public hearing. Get ready.
Put a poll in now, a year later, we gotta spend money.
Yeah.
Just offering it. I know you're over there.
Dave knows this stuff.
All right, so any other discussion on that? So it's to set a public hearing to use the money. Fran,
Yes.
Terry,
Yes.
Charles,
Yes.
Rusty,
Yes.
Laura,
Yes.
Dave,
Yes.
and yes. Gears are turning. About as slow as the water's draining. All right, anything else?
No.
Anybody have anything else for Sue? DPW.
I'll be shorter and sweeter.
Perfect.
Our agenda this last week was nothing but Strawberry Festival, making sure all of our parks and entrance coming into the village was clean. And we helped out OPD setting up no parking barrels and cones for the festival, and worked with Mrs. Hanson and her crews. We did get some of the lights working at the courthouse with Rick Ford, our electrician, so that's a good thing. And that's pretty much it, what we did for the week of last week. I do need the vote for the cemetery and for.
Can we do a cemetery?
You told me to do it today. We talked about it last Monday, his budget would take us this week.
Is this the vote for the paving?
Well, I thought we voted to to use, Reeves.
Oh, right.
103,000.
Oh, no, we didn't, we did the John's.
Yours there to hide that.
Right.
Well,
And it had to come to me.
We didn't go.
I don't know, we gotta look at the minutes. I know I brought it up at.
We did, it was last week at the budget.
Yes, we
We
did
talked
the,
about it at the budget meeting, and it had to come from tonight.
we did the
Oh,
time
alright.
lot, we didn't do the cemetery.
Gotcha, all right. So, yeah, let me see what those accounts are called now, I forget. Okay,
We approved Reeves for paving the cemetery.
yeah,
You have two of them, you got the Little League one and
And John's.
we already did John.
John's
Which one's he
did-
talking about now?
We
I-
did John's at the last special meeting.
So I have the cemetery and Little League Park.
We got the little league one.
We're good with that one too?
We don't have the other ones.
We're good with,
We approved Reeves for the cemetery for 103. I don't have any place written down here where we approved the Hyde.
The Hyde's
No, we
on
haven't done
agenda
that.
for tonight.
I know
Nice
we approved the cemetery.
We have one here for 82,000.
Yes.
Checking the minutes.
I don't remember doing that.
I remember doing John's Park.
I remember doing John's, I don't remember doing cemetery.
The week
Let's just
before.
do it right now and get
That's
that.
what.
So,
There you go.
The cemetery was approved at the meeting on the 3rd.
on the 3rd, we approved that.
Motion carries 6-0.
Oh, we've got-
What's the same?
Oh,
On the 3rd, we approved the cemetery.
That's
for
what I
100.
was-
John's?
okay.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
What'd we say about John's?
But for John's.
Yeah, when we get
Yeah.
into special.
Yeah.
At the special meeting.
That was your last Monday's meeting.
June the
John.
3rd.
We did paving from North Ave.
We approved the $5,000 to Reeves on the special meeting, right?
All you gotta do
Yeah.
is a little bit.
Hyde lot. So that's what it, so it's the bid for 82,8,
Cemetery.
it's a bid, it's a bid for 8, we did John's, right?
Yes.
We did.
John's at the
We did
special
John's
meeting.
last
John's
year.
at the 10th.
Did that at the-
At the special budget meeting.
after you-
You gave us the deal.
Okay.
Information, and then we said, so it's ready for
I did that
Move to
last
approve the
year.
low bid from Reeves for 82,850 to pave Hyde Park,
That's for the grant.
Yes.
coming from
The little,
Sam Grant.
sand grant. Thank
low
you.
bid for that price coming from Sam Grant.
Yes.
Discussion on this is this was the 6 years ago Sam's grant. So this is paving, this paves all of the parking lot over there, right?
We want to get the handicap one done before the state turn.
Right. The handicap and then the other big parking lot over there. And it's paid for by the state, so can't beat that. Any other questions, discussions? Fran?
Yes.
Terry?
Yes.
Charles?
Yes.
Rusty?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
And yes.
Just so I know, we're good on all three.
Good.
Right? Okay, thank you.
So it's your idea.
Have a wonderful night.
Took 3 different meetings, so yes.
And thank you for putting that, Fred, thank you for putting that light on top of the building.
Oh, yeah.
Rudolph, too?
Mike, I got a question.
Give you something else to remember to turn off before I blow the battery.
I know Fred's getting out of here. So who's the authority to get those garbage dumpsters out? Who is that? The police? Is that Fred? Is that, who is that?
I mean,
HOM? I'm just asking who it is.
It's probably code with HOM,
Code and HOM, okay.
because they probably don't have permits to stick them on that state road.
Nope.
Special.
They never get the rules
I
for
think
that.
it's Fred because it's in the business district,
I
right?
didn't give the permission for the dumpster.
No, I think you have the authority to tell them they gotta move it.
Well, we'll tell them they gotta move.
I have no
Yeah.
problem with that, but I'm not gonna be put into that.
No, it wasn't your fault.
It
No,
wasn't my
no.
idea.
No, I think,
My idea was Draper Park.
yeah, I think you can tell them that they gotta move it and when.
I got you.
But
Code's
that's not,
right.
that's up to him.
Yeah.
They were heaping right up, but we just had a thunderstorm, so half of that's probably right down the street.
Yeah, I probably floated away.
I'm sure.
Yeah, we told them not to.
So,
Get out of here.
What'd you say?
Get out of here.
Yeah, we told them not to. put them-
Before somebody asks you something else.
That old strawberry you go into the-
It probably is. All right, do we have any report from police?
Sugar jets.
I am not.
I'm trying to think. No, but I don't have it right now.
We have the air conditioning quote, maybe want to hold off on that.
Well, Julie kind of gave us the idea that we didn't want to be doing that right now.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, I would like to get a whole bunch of people making a whole bunch of decisions that they don't have the authority to make. Yeah, I hear you.
So we do have the air conditioning quote, but maybe we want to hold off on that based on the two.
So the one for.
Because Scott Smith is on our registered, certified,
It's pretty bland to me. It just says York brand condenser and air
Laura, would you pass us cookies back
handler. Yeah, the cookies.
What's the efficiency seal
What?
issue?
The Belgium people did not make the cookies tonight?
No, she brought those in. I brought the stew pot.
Okay.
So they're from Europe. That's imported cookies.
So just a little bit earlier
Brought them.
tonight, I emailed the report that we got from Tatum Engineering, who did the energy audit for 90 Temple Street. And so that's like a 22-page report that gives us, gives the assessment of the building, what their complaints were there, and how to solve them with some cost estimates. So that's all laid out for us, and I'm gonna hopefully get it printed for Rusty so he can have it. But everybody else has it electronically already, and so we can use that. We can do all the improvements. It's like it rang up to like 12,400 for the improvements that they recommended that we do on the building, and all of that can come out of the grant money that we got for clean energy improvements. So we can use it to button up the building, to solve all the the complaints that they've been saying, right? And then we can also we can right size the flow for AC and heating for a new unit, and have that paid for through the grant.
Which grant now?
So this is the
90,000 grant?
Well, it's all out of the same pot. So like the first level is the 90,000, the second level is the 150, and then the third level that we'll be trying for is the 262,000. So we're talking about using the 90,000 and then the $150,000 pots to do these improvements.
This is all speculation, because I know we don't have 150,000. Maybe we'll get it, maybe we won't. I know you think we're gonna get it, it's just gonna be absolute, but we don't know that stuff yet.
So what we do with it is we get the announcement that we can have the money, and then we have the 90 days to present all our quotes and our plan, and then have that approved, and then we could make all the purchases and complete our plan, spend all the money, and have it repaid to us.
It seems like the committee that's going to make recommendations to the board about how we're going to potentially use this money would, and you probably are, would be working on that 150 right now, so that if and when it comes, you'll be all ready. You won't start then. You'll have everything all set to what you think it should be done. We'll be set to hear it and do it.
Right. So we're having a meeting tomorrow with Fred, Nick, and Terry, and a bunch of the members.
Yeah, except it won't be Mickey, broke his leg.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Oh, so.
Does it? Something. That's part of the leg.
That is part of the leg, yeah.
So we'll adjust, and we can send him a Zoom link wherever he is. And so maybe Rusty, you want to come and help talk about
Come if I can.
spending plan, okay.
Mike, can I jump in for a second? We had some worries before about when we're doing this $600,000 grant with the state, they own us. So we're here now, we're gonna be doing some other things around, but didn't we have that?
Oh, yeah.
That general field, we couldn't do anything to that building.
Oh, that is true.
Once that
That's
grant
true.
plan with
Actually,
us, we can't do anything without
We're not supposed to touch that building without telling them.
without them. I'm just saying, it gets tricky with that building.
Because of that other grant we got going.
Is that $600,000 one?
Yeah, that's a good point.
So we just need to understand that too, as we're playing along with this.
Even like this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
We have to be careful with.
Yeah, we understand that.
Okay. Do we have anything else from the police? Obviously, they did a lot of strawberry fest stuff.
Yeah, I can't think of anything right this minute.
Okay. Not good, funny.
Yeah. Kind of,
Huh?
had some little troubles.
I've been at my house.
That are nothing with us.
All right. We missed clerk's office. We have the budget. We want to do the
That would
budget.
be a good time. You had a public hearing on the budget. You have to adopt it before July 1st. So
Budget.
got anything you
Hold
want
on.
to do
Just
now?
Mike back here.
Let me share my thing. here.
What's that?
Let me share my screen.
And just a quick outline.
You're probably not gonna be able to see it up there.
One of the biggest problems is we went down $2,442,000 in assessment. So that's right there equivalent, that's 2% right there, just that, or maybe almost 2.5%, 3%.
And the county did get a hold of us sometime or other and told us what was going on. The town.
Yeah.
And they said, we went up a couple years, like the year before, because the special assessments went up, and now some special assessments have gone down. Land bank, they say owns a bunch of property, and
Whatever they gave us up.
it's just out of our control, which is too bad, we don't have anything to do with it until, we don't get it till last second.
I know.
So, anyhow, so right now, if you pass the budget the way it is now, it will be a 5.12 increase.
Great. So Rusty suggested a couple of edits, which were
Page 28.
to fire protection. So they're all on the revenue side. Fire protection, to take that from 90,000 to 108,000.
That's on page 27, middle of the page, fire protection.
Then crime control, which is our SRO contract in the cops.
Dave's not sure about fire protection. You have a question about the fire protection? That's.
He just said no.
Town of Tioga
Town of
contract.
Owego hasn't paid us the fire protection in a number of years.
So we're thinking that's at least 4 years worth of their contract, which is, they owe us at least that.
Do you see that being collected?
Well, we can hope. That's the
I don't
iffy one to
think we
me.
can count on that.
That's the iffy one to me.
Well, it's,
But I would hope.
I would think they should. I believe they got the money sitting there, they're just waiting.
they had escrowed, 4 years ago, they'd escrowed money for that.
Yeah, they hadn't made. Problem is, at one time it was EMS and fire together, then they split, and then they cut it. We're just waiting for some final paperwork.
Paperwork on what?
Town of Tioga contract, we gotta get that.
Yes, the Tioga County,
Figured out.
absolutely.
You could ask Nate, because he's
Yes,
attorney.
we need to get that done.
So the other piece is on page 28. It's under what they call crime control, and it is a combination. Are you guys ready? You guys got that?
I'm ready.
2/3 of the way down, page 28, crime control. And right now it says $350,000. That is the amount, should be a little more than that. It's the amount that we get in for cops grants and the amount we get from the school for the SROs.
On the revenue.
And so we wanted to raise that to it's about a little over $400,000. So that's revenue we believe we'll have.
We wanna raise that to 400.
To 400 exactly?
Yep.
So it's going from 350 to 400?
Yes. You guys know where we're talking?
No, we're gonna.
Page 28, you have that?
Well, I do, of 35,
Page 28 of, this is the new budget of 29.
Revenues at the back of it.
Wait a minute, wait a minute.
So even if it's an old budget, it might be page 34 or 35, and it'll be crime control.
So we want to make that 400 instead of 350.
I have what was in that.
Oh, this is.
Yeah. Okay, you said 28, all right. We were
No,
on
no
30.
problem. Are we on the newer budget now at page 28?
We are.
Okay, so 2/3 of the way down says crime control. And it says 350, and with the amount, because this includes the amount of money we get for the SROs from the school, and it includes the COPS grants, and then it should be, good, everything should be, it should be a little over 400, so we want to make that 400.
And then the only other change is interest earnings. We want to take from 35,000 to 42,000.
Where was that, Mike?
I don't know. It's right next to fire protection.
Gotcha.
It's in my spreadsheet. I don't have
It's right under fire protection on page 27, and it's 35 now.
We don't have the same page numbers.
It's got to be right.
Did you find the
it's
fire
in that
protection
same
one?
area. It's in revenue. From 35 to 42. And I'll send these to the bills.
Where's this tool?
It's on the budget preparation, and the newer budget is page 27. On the old one, it would probably be 33-ish or so. Did you find the fire protection one on there?
I don't need it. I got it. Good with the sewer and the EMS. That's all I.
Yeah, I wouldn't look at them.
Is it,
Hold on,
Russ, is the total about 75,000?
hold on.
Yeah,
Here.
so
No.
with those changes, that takes our revenue not from taxes, is the number one, to 1,000,000.
Hang on, sorry.
That's income, right?
Okay.
So it takes our total revenue not from taxes to 1,618,027.
And what's our projected tax rate with that?
And our revenue raised by taxes to $2,380,377, which gives us a tax rate, if you divide that by our assessed value of the village, $21.01 per thousand assessed, which is a percent increase of 1.90%.
1.90% increase in taxes. And what would the new rate be, Mike? Say, would you say it again?
$21.01.
2101. What was it last time?
Currently, it is $20.62.
2062.
And it went up 39 cents.
39 cents.
Which is about 2%.
1.9%.
The year before it went up.
What's up, say, Randy?
Right.
The year before was about this.
Yeah, we're getting in under 2. It's usually just under, and that's what it is.
Can I say this out loud? The proposed tax rate for this year that we just said is 21.01.
That's the amount per thousand.
Okay, that's amount per thousand, and that means our percentage increase would be 1.90%.
Yeah.
Okay. And last year's tax rate was 20.62.
Yep.
Okay. And that means we're able to keep under our 2%.
Even though I told the paperwork out, it says otherwise, but you make it, you do it.
Yeah,
I have to do it before the public hearing, then after. So
Yeah.
Right now, I said we were going over, send it all in. We'll see what happens. That's all right. Just has to.
We did a really good job.
I mean, we had our public hearing for number, but we get to change it after
Oh, yeah,
that.
no, this was for the constitutional tax limit.
Yeah.
Something else.
Okay.
Couple.
So you got us down to what?
1.9.
Yeah. All right.
Go.
You want to vote on that? That would be fine.
Move to pass the budget as presented,
I second.
As amended.
as amended presented,
Absolutely.
I second.
as pretended, I'm amended.
And that doesn't change, everything, we had the budget workshop for all the departments, that's all. We didn't touch any of that.
The sewer's gonna stay the same, and so is.
Well, we gotta vote on that separate.
All right,
We gotta vote on that separate. Yeah. So this is for the general fund. Fran,
Yes.
Terry,
Yes.
Charles,
Yes.
Rusty,
Yes.
Laura,
Yes.
Dave,
Yes.
and yes. Okay, so now let's do the sewer and the EMS.
To be honest, it's just,
So
whatever we
EMS
did, I haven't gone through those budgets because they're difficult to go through and we don't really understand them and do them very much. So
EMS.
I'm not gonna pick through that.
Right, so
EMS.
EMS, the takeaway is the budget is now $602,322.
Where is that?
So that's the expected revenue and the expenses. This year's budget was $462,967. So they're going up 200,000.
Say what the new one was again, Mike? 600?
602,322.
Cause I've got one here that says 558,745.
That's what I'm showing.
Must be an old one.
That's the old paper. There was
Cause the old paper.
Yeah, there was like 4 sets
Good Lord
in our
help us.
boxes. So there was 2 that were old for it and 2 that were new. And you just had them all in your same box.
I had two
Okay,
sewers
I
and
see a newer one.
Okay. So,
All right, here, so I see the new one.
So,
so yeah, you'll see the dates in the corner. You're gonna look for the 17th. This is
This is
old.
610.
Mike, you say this new one is 602,322?
Yeah, 617 is the date up on the
617.
corner up here.
So this is all.
right, if you look at the printout, the report
But you
date
should
should be
have
6/17/2024.
They're just.
There it is.
So-
Okay. All right. So
The
these are
the
your
only
quotes.
question I have is, which I would like to know, is how much money, is it on here, how much we took in this year?
Yeah, so this year's not over, but if you look at, 2023 actual, they brought in 617,110.
2023 or 2024?
Well, 2024 is not over yet.
Yeah, okay, so 2023, we brought in 617.
So we're approaching that actual number.
You
here.
think we're pretty close to that?
But where we'll have a lot of slush, there maybe isn't anymore.
So we, yeah, because we probably ought to look at this just a tiny little bit, you know, just, so obviously we have the retirement, that's on there someplace, I assume.
Oh, yes, the LoSAP
Those are-
is in here. I forget where they.
Oh, I
stuck
see it. It's the very last.
Oh, there it is.
It
Got
says
blue
low
line.
cap, but
Where are we on there?
right here I
Page.
found it.
40.
Page 3.
Page 3, low cap, I see it, and it's 40 grand. Because they were talking about 12 a pop and maybe having 40 people, so it'd be 48, but it looks like we had less people qualify. So it's only 40 instead of the 48 that we looked at.
I thought like we weren't going to be paying that out for 5 years. Like they had to do it
We
for.
have to pay into.
We gotta pay into it.
Yeah. So all right. So this is us paying 40 a year into it.
Yeah. Well, 40 a year, 40 this year, because it depends on how many people qualify. So what do we got here for, that we're putting away that we made beyond how much we spent for vehicles? Because that's what we want to be putting the money away for, is buying new
Well,
ambulances.
I don't know where,
Well, we have,
we've already contracts with
we have money in
company to
reserve for the new ambulance.
refurbish those
Right.
2 ambulances.
We have money right now put aside for the ambulance.
We've got 800,000 right now for that.
So we don't have any money out of this budget for a new re-chassis, but the re-chassis we're doing are already paid for.
Out of money that we have put away.
Yes.
It's collected interest, we already have enough money to pay for that. Not in the.
Okay, let me just bear with me. So our budget's $602,000. We're paying for the LoSAP. What other that 600, how much are we paying to run the show? It used to be 3.5. So are we a couple $100,000 ahead here that we're putting away?
No, so the big change is full-time salary. Because we were down 1 full-time paid person most of the last couple of years. So when you bump that up to 2 full-time paid people,
So it says full-time salary, 178 grand. Is that 3 full-time people?
well, that's a good question.
Sure
Now, there
smells
is
like
some
it.
Splitting Right, there's some splitting of like the clerk's office staff because
Yeah.
They're paying,
mechanic.
in fact, I think Paul said something, he was walking out the door about how much is the EMS paying for these various other things? So some of that full-time salary is the 25% or whatever percent that they're gonna pay for other folks.
Support.
Gotcha.
And the sewer fund also pays the percent.
Yep.
That was the case.
No, I got it. Yep.
Yeah, so that's increased.
Um,
And
And
it's adding back in a second full-time person for the
Yeah.
whole year.
Yeah.
Which we took some of that out last year because we couldn't find anybody.
It's okay, I'm not complaining, our staff does a good job. I probably preferred next time that the budget break those things out rather than just that one line, but
Yeah, well, it has to be in that one line, but we could.
somehow, some breakout of what that is, how much is for those folks and how much is for their share of other stuff. And I assume it's somewhere.
That's the big change number-wise, between that and the 40 grand for.
That's 60 extra grand there, 40 extra grand for so that's 100 grand. Although,
It's going up 200.
yeah,
And it's a little more, well, no, I guess it's about the same for part-time. 41.4 to 42.4.
what's that for, Mike?
There's $9,000.
Oh, part-time
for
salary, yeah.
Software.
Well, that,
Health insurance is up because they had another person.
Yeah, oh, right.
It's 11,000.
where's that at? Yeah, it could, just like all the rest of the health insurance everywhere. No, I see, it's on the back page.
Yes.
Retirement's up 3 grand, health insurance is up 5 grand. There's some, oh, no, there's another health insurance that wasn't there at all, it's up 11 grand. FICA. 5 grand. Retirement was up 5 grand, health insurance went from 0 to 11.
Well, I'm betting our new full-time employee probably takes health insurance.
Oh, and Sonia didn't do it.
Right.
Did we ever do a thing with the CSEA or anything about buying her out for that, or did we ever never did do that? Okay, that's something we'll look at later. Okay.
So, yeah, anyway, so that's how we get to 602, 322. Now it is, last full year, we made 617, 110, so I'm not worried about 602. But we're getting close to that number where we gotta start watching it.
Yeah,
Again, next
because
year.
we were talking about being 150 or 100 or 150 ahead, and now it doesn't look like we're 50 or 100 or 150 ahead.
Right.
And we want,
Well, there's more expenses added on to the department.
Yep.
Clerical services and, utilities and insurance and.
no, I'm just saying, we want to be 50 or 100 ahead so we can have that money away for ambulances. That's what we absolutely want to do that, and these guys are doing a good job trying to make it happen.
Well, but we're probably getting to a closer picture of what it really takes.
About what it really is.
Because we do need support staff and mechanics. And stuff
Yeah.
like that, so.
Yeah, so that was, back when we first started this and we brought in 350 and we spent 300, that was that first time, and it was not terribly realistic. Okay.
So anyway, does somebody want to make a motion to pass that, maybe?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Any other discussion
Terry, you're
on
right, you big.
the EMS budget?
See Terry Shedd to the top. Yeah.
All right. Fran?
Yes.
Terry?
Yes.
Charles?
Yes.
Rusty?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Dave? Yes. And yes.
Was there something I was going to say about that? Just give me a second. It's just too many damn things.
No.
We did pass it, but I wanted
Oh,
to
I
say
didn't
something.
turn off our camera.
Yep, that was the end.
Oh, yeah, so we have, no, I'm happy that it's in the budget this time. In general, we voted to give them we'll call it a stipend, to have a a banquet or something, and so
Yeah,
this time, instead of us just doing it ourselves, we've added it to the budget.
That's what I mean, this is a more realistic
Yeah.
picture, probably.
Yeah, so that,
to be honest.
yeah, that's a piece that was never in the budget, we just gave it to them.
But we always took it out of their money, so it kind of was.
Yeah, we found a place to take it.
All right, so the other one's sewer budget.
Yeah, well, which of the 16
So the one
pieces of
printed
the sewer
today-
is the right
I'll
one?
Look at the one printed today.
610, 617.
So their budget is $1,839,416. And to put that in perspective, their budget this current year is $1,888,602. So their budget actually went down.
Went down 45 grand, for 40 some grand. And of course, I assume our inputs are around the same.
Yeah. So not a lot of changes there. I mean, pretty much the same.
I don't know if Dave's had any chance to look at any of that, anything from you, Dave?
I've looked at it, yeah.
You pretty good with that?
Yeah, the only thing I was, the part-time help on page 2.
Okay.
Increase of 275% for part-time help.
Yeah, that-
Planning on
Full-time, oh, I see it on that.
yeah, 42,200.
It was 11,000 before and it's 42,000?
Yeah.
Yeah, isn't that huge?
Guess he needs part-time people.
Now, of course, part of that too, though, Dave, is the full-time help went from 429 down to 320.
That's true.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know how that works, and, you know, did we get rid of 1 or 2 full-timers, or are we not paying Tracy anymore, or however that all goes?
Right.
Yeah,
And then,
Tracy's no longer.
So that's probably
We
that,
just
but,
kept him on.
Okay.
We actually paid him a whole year without working, because he had some.
Well, because they had vacation.
So he's at,
almost every time in any of these budgets that the part-time salary stuff is up, it's a good thing. Because we're not paying a ton of money and we're not paying any benefits, so almost always that's a good thing for us,
Yeah.
in a way. In a way.
Yeah, on a majority of these categories, everything's gone down, which is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not typical anymore.
Yeah, well, he's bringing in more money for all.
Yeah, I like
Which is,
that.
again, more accurate. I mean, because they are.
Oh, shoot, I was gonna ask him, but that's an offline thing. We have the property now. It's time to build the road. And the property, that's the reason we bought it. And maybe
Yeah, so-
sometime it'll be time to build the tank.
Yeah, I was over there this afternoon and they were lined up down that little single road.
To try and get in.
To try to get in
That
there.
whole, yeah, we got the big mound of dirt that we kept there and we're ready to build the road. Let's do it.
What do you think about the building maintenance line? That one went up.
Where is it?
It's on page 2.
Page 2, about where on the page? Where on the page?
The bottom.
Bottom, building maintenance.
20,079.
What do you think what anticipated building maintenance are we expecting? It's like 20,000.
Well, it was budgeted last year for 10, but then we adjusted it to 40.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's down.
So I mean, it's from that original thought, it was at 10, but
Is that where like the generator and stuff maybe?
it could be like a roof on the pump stations and all that kind of stuff. Right. It could be that. They got a couple outbuildings here.
Oh, yeah, it's not just the one.
It's not
Yeah,
just the
they've
plant.
got all the pump
But
houses.
interesting, we've got 3 things there. We got the 10 we originally thought, then we got the adjusted for 40, but then we got the actual for 2,000.
Yeah.
So
Right.
Yeah.
He just broke it up into 3 different categories.
Don't know.
And not all of the sewer plant is new. I mean, there's sections of that buildings that are
Oh, yeah.
still from 1968, so I'm sure they need maintenance as well.
So we are getting an energy assessment of the plant and its operations. So that'll be happening and we'll know a whole lot more about what might need to be replaced or what's not working well and what suggestions are. So that'll help us.
Dave, would you be interested in moving to accept that sewer budget? Or did we just do that?
No, we haven't done that.
Commissioner? Yeah, I want to make a motion to accept the sewer bill budget for 25 for the amount of $1,888,602.
Wrong line.
Well, as presented,
You want,
because there's lots of presented things.
you want $1,839,460. 2025.
39, yeah, $1,839,416.
Second. Second.
Okay. Any other discussion on the sewer budget? Fran,
Yes.
Terry,
Yes.
Chuck,
Yes.
Rusty,
Yes.
Laura,
Yes.
Dave,
Yes.
and yes. Okay, so we did all the budgets before the end of June. Yay.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to just point out, because I said I wouldn't do any of this today, we did that faster than we did the pickleball court lines.
I know.
There's something wrong with us.
Well, we spent a lot of time the other week doing this.
Yeah.
So.
Communications, I got nothing. Old business, we have nothing under there. Before we do approval of previous board meetings, Nate and I have something. There's a mystery, yes. You want to, I don't want to say the wrong thing.
Yep. So we're asking for an executive session to discuss matters relating to the employment of a particular person within the village.
Move we have an executive session for that reason.
Is Mike still here?
Huh?
Who seconded that?
Oh, I'll second.
Vote on the executive session. Fran,
Yes.
Terry,
Yes.
Charles, Rusty,
Yes.
Laura,
Yes.
Dave,
Yes.
and yes. If we want to do that now quick, it should be like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
We don't have, do we have any other pertinent business? We don't.
No,
Nobody's
this
here.
should take like 5 minutes.
We have to go offline, right?
Yes.
We can do it right here.
I'll just get to it. No.
Okay, we're back live.
Okay.
That is true. Like, keep it in.
Doors open in case someone decides to come in for the end of public comment.
Yeah, we should open that. Prop that thing open in case anybody comes back.
Don't let them in.
I think they all left, but who knows?
Maybe they'll come back from round two.
Nobody's here. You can hang meat in here.
You could hang meat in here, right?
Chucky, that was pretty
We
fast,
have a-
that was pretty fast executive
We have
session.
a meeting.
All right, so we're coming back from executive into regular session.
So you went to 9:30, you went in.
Look at that, I told you 5 minutes.
Back at 9:35. Did you do anything?
Nope.
No? Yes?
No, we're gonna do something now.
All right, somebody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we authorize Coughlin and Gerhart for conducting a confidential investigation not to exceed $3,000.
Second. All right, any discussion on that?
Goes from pizza and wings.
Yeah, right, Charles is going for pizza and wings. Frank,
Yes.
Terry,
Yes.
Charles,
Yes.
Rusty,
Yes.
Laura,
Yes.
Dave? Yes. And yes. Okay. Okay, so moving on with the scheduled program, board minutes. We got a bunch of them, because we had extra meetings.
Okay.
Oh, we have just two, yeah, June
Approving
3rd and
minutes
June
and,
10th.
are we approving minutes and stuff now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Budgets and things and stuff.
You might please let me take out, Brad, if I didn't vote for, the fire department, I'm on there, but I couldn't figure out how to get the audio to work.
Oh, yes.
I had a really hard time. I would have voted yes though, but I didn't.
Actually, I put down that you didn't, I meant to put down you didn't vote for anything.
Correct, because I don't think I can virtually anyway, can I?
Yeah, I don't know. If you're on video, you can, but if
If
you're
you're not,
Okay.
not on video.
I
you
couldn't
can't.
get stuff to work.
I just said you were there for a couple of hours.
Yeah, I
Then we
was.
lost, then all of a sudden we lost.
Yeah.
So, what page was it on?
It was page two.
which draft is?
Page two, it just said that I voted and I knew I did.
Remember that happened to me and Laura, we held up
The
the
two-
time.
the third, okay.
Yeah, you did. That was back COVID days. We were all-
When you were all virtual, that's such a pain. Thank you.
So on the, we're talking about the 3rd, right?
Yep.
June 3rd. So in the minutes, on page 3, the top of page 3, there's this motion about the pro-housing communities. Can you change that? So what we did was, instead of approving the resolution, we did this thing where we motioned to approve them sending this letter of intent, doing a table with the zoning map, and then they were gonna send this, something about the housing study of the last 5 years of what properties were added or lost. And then we were gonna have that information and then we were gonna take the next step to do the resolution.
You wanted to say all that?
So no, I just wanna change it, and I
The
can,
motion
and,
said something about complete the required paperwork.
yeah,
It was very vague, like, it wasn't to approve their it was to submit the letter of intent and complete the required things.
yeah. And so, and those required things were like the additions and the loss of the last 5 years and a map that they were gonna do. So I'll send it. I'll send that to
Best way
you.
is to send it.
And we did, and we did the letter of intent, by the way.
Okay. I sent in my trustee report to be added, today though.
Today.
Yeah, I did it today, so,
Yeah.
so that needs to be added in. And then, also, so there's actually another section, the hazard mitigation plan section. I didn't write down what page that was on. But, so what we did for that was we did one motion where we did like the whole county plan thing, and then we did a separate motion for our
annex.
village annex, and so we need to add that
Send it-
part.
Send it to me, I'll put it.
Okay, and then, there was this one section, during when, James was giving his report about, the updates and the parks and stuff. And at one point, Rusty left the meeting and he checked on the demolition of the skateboard park.
Oh, yeah.
And he came back. And so I would like us to just include in there that he went and checked and that the skateboard park had been demolished
Without our approval.
without our
There's no
approval.
proof to do that.
I went to the bathroom, I don't know what you did.
I remember putting it back. Maybe he took a picture on his cell phone so he could show you.
Yeah, he must have.
Oh, wait.
He has a picture of himself standing there on his cell phone.
Selfie, like that.
But
Well, it
he-
shows on camera that he was gone.
So when he returned, he gave us this like quick report of what he'd seen when he went over there. And I
Does
just
that
like,
need- Does that need to be in the minutes? That's just nothing.
we don't need to, but I don't know. I always like that.
I'm not giving you any more.
Right.
You want,
I
that- you
think
want
we
it to be
need to
word for
table
word.
these
I
minutes.
like it to be
So we
known
get
that
all
like
the
if this
credit
happens,
for
changes
Yeah.
done and then vote on it
Above
next
and
time.
That's fine with
There's
me.
too many changes here that we don't
We're gonna
see.
table the third.
Okay.
Okay.
Get those
We
squared
get all the
away.
changes in, yeah,
Bring
we
'em
vote
next
on
time.
it next time.
You need to get those to Rodney before our meeting.
Yeah.
Sorry, but you
No.
just
It's very
do.
easy to change it before, Mike. It's tough to have.
We're gonna make a rule that if it's not to Rodney by Friday before the meeting, then it's done.
You normally get them
And we
on
do it
Wednesday,
next
the
time.
day after.
Got a motion.
All right, so we're gonna table those. So June 10th, how do we let those? That was the.
That
budget
was
workshop.
almost nothing than that.
I motion to approve June 10th as submitted.
All right, all right.
Yeah.
We did what, one motion, June 10th?
Yeah.
We had two, right? No, one.
One.
We did the paving.
Just what about the baby?
Paving
And
and
budget-
the
and
Johns.
obviously we
I
had
don't
the
see it
budget
on there.
workshop.
This is.
Oh, yep, the paving's on there.
Paving into-
Who seconded that?
I second it.
Fran?
Okay.
What are we doing?
Approving those. for
Approving the
June.
minutes, so thank you.
Of the workshop.
Shall we vote on the workshop meeting? Fran,
Yes.
Terry,
Yes.
Charles,
Yes.
Rusty,
Yes.
Laura,
Yes.
Dave,
Yes.
and Dan. Okay, so we cross that one. Trustee reports. Dave.
Let's see. As far as the sewer plant, I wanted to talk to Dirk about, an electric vehicle for purchase. And he's kind of shying away from an electric vehicle. I said, well, let's look into it anyway. So he has agreed to look into an electric vehicle. He does need, I offered cars out of the picture. He needs something that's gonna be versatile for carrying things, putting things in and out, and something with a pipe rack on it as well that could be purchased afterwards.
Okay.
So he's looking at a small pickup truck.
For a van.
And he's also looking at, he had a proposal for a Jeep Mojave, which is the second from the top trim level.
Yep.
I've got it knocked down to a $40,000 Jeep Gladiator, the basic unit. He's also considering that, so he's gonna get bids on that as well.
Okay.
Dave, did you recommend against the Jeep with him, or how did that work? I know he seems hell-bent on a Jeep, but
Has he looked at like a normal
did you talk to him about other vehicles?
Dodge, Chevy,
Yeah,
GMC?
he said
I don't know.
he did look into a GM or Chevy half-ton pickup as well.
Just to
Again,
compare.
the money's still right up there.
One, yeah, they're not cheap, nothing's cheap.
So did you have a recommendation? Do you have a recommendation for us?
I recommend, to you?
No, not to me, to us.
To us.
I'm not us.
Just stop talking. I would say, if he could come in at a $40,000 mark, it's something that's gonna be big, usable and, trouble-free. I mean, I don't have a problem with a Jeep. at a $40,000 mark.
Yeah, it's cheap.
It's $24,000 cheaper than what he was looking before.
Right. That's cheaper than you're gonna get most trucks. Anything else?
No, not at this time.
Rusty?
Not much of anything. I was looking at the night class and how much money,
New York class,
what's that?
New York class.
Yeah, night class.
Doesn't it say on the top of the piece NYCLAS?
Yeah, you're right.
Okay, but thank you. Okay.
Excuse
No,
me.
no, that's fine. I can do that for you. That's all good. No, I'm just looking at numbers and I'm playing around. It's unimportant. I'm thinking, if we put 100 grand in one of those things and we get 5.23% interest, and forget the compounding, we'd get $5,200 a year. And if we did it in the bank, we'd get $4,200 a year. So it's $1,000 difference there. I get it. And I like that interest is every day, because it's 0.0143% interest every day. So every day we get $14. No, but it's all there. It's all part of the numbers and stuff. I just play with numbers. So I'm almost done. I just want to ask my colleague here, please don't give us a half an hour report on all the climate stuff tonight.
I know, right?
All right, I'm done.
Okay, I have something shorter when it's time.
Okay, good. Charles?
We ran into a little issue with parking alternative for our residents during the beginning of Strawberry Fest. We all know that we do this every year. Everybody should be prepared for it. It's a little bit of inconvenience, but it happens. But there was like complaints that there was more streets, a ton, to be quoted, streets added. I know there was provisions made for Ross Street, 100 feet from the corners, to provide for buses to turn. So we needed that. But people were up in arms about not having a place to park, and the only alternative they had was to park on their lawns. So I ran around trying to brainstorm after reading somebody's comment, and I got a hold of Mike and Jeff Winchell. Jeff Winchell was very busy downtown directing traffic, so he couldn't go around. I suggested the use of the pit for our residents. It's there, it's doing nothing, and it's right there in the heart of everything that's going on. So I suggested that our residents could be able to use that as an alternative to having to park on their lawns and not having a place to park. So he said, sure. So I devised a small explanation and sent a flare up on Facebook, but I also took a step further, drove around town like the town crier, and announced to all the different neighbors that was faced with that problem, that was an alternative. And explained to them that it was directly across from the community center, the community shop. And so they were happy with that. Well, not, still those keyboard warriors.
Did anybody actually park it?
I believe so.
Yeah.
People were parking it. I told them, I said, I don't want to catch y'all out here selling tickets to the outside people coming in.
A long way from Ross Street.
Parking. Yeah, somebody even asked if there's a shuttle to get back to their house.
Yeah.
But if they would have called me, I would have tried to make something, anything to help out. You can't please everybody.
We know a couple Uber guys.
Yeah, a couple Uber guys. I still got the sticker on the trunk. Other than that, maybe we can look into making sure that we include these suggestions for parking in the future when we have our Strawberry Fest or other big festivals.
Yeah, Winter Fest.
Yeah.
Christmas
Fest. Red Pepper Fest.
Yes. Coming next.
There was also some suggestions made about moving the Strawberry Fest to Marvin. That probably won't happen. Maybe some events, I don't know. But after all this renovation, there's gonna be a a showcase. So it might work a little bit. I don't know about Hickory's because that's the town. And I didn't want to exclude our merchants, the business owners, actually put this thing on. So they need to be in the heart of what's happening. So that's all I gotta say about that. But we really need to nail down a date to meet with Stiletto's Fine Art Studio to figure out plans for fundraising for that mural for the fire station. Because they're quite busy right now. They're blowing up. They're becoming famous, and they're going to be sought after by many to do murals. I don't know if y'all seen the one that they just finished in Illinois with, was it Lincoln, Illinois? Abraham Lincoln on the wall with the
Looks cool.
an eagle that looks almost like that. And it's the stars from the flag jump off of this building. Like, you can't believe it. And they're gonna be busy. So after they do a mural, they're being called, oh, they see, come on down and paint our building. So we want to get these people because they're homegrown, they're here. And we want their work on our walls. And that's actually on our honey-do list that we printed out for us. That's about all I got. Yeah. I think of something else. I'll fly off the top of this. Next.
Laura, short report.
Did you hear Mike just said?
I
Said the
heard.
short report. Come on, we want to get out of here today.
Make it short.
So today was Erin Zippin's first day, so I introduced her to some people, got her Wi-Fi password, all those things. And I took her out to a few places where we would be having events, and we checked out to see like, do they have air conditioning, and like, can people go to these places? You know, where can people go in these hot days?
Library.
Frozen section.
Yes.
Yeah, so we did go to the library, and their AC isn't actually working very well right now, so we don't want to promote people to go there and have them be overwhelmed because they can't actually use it as a, people, it's not like currently okay to be cooling, even though like people can go there and cool down, it's just not really cool, and so Wednesday is a holiday, and so every place is closed that we found so far. But we did find that, over at Taiga Opportunities, they have the Countryside Kitchen. And so they are welcoming people to their air-conditioned building. They have other events going on those days. So there's lunch, and if people can go at 11:30 to 12:30 to eat lunch, and then they have board games and rooms, they have books and things. So if residents do want to go, that's one place where they could go this week to get out of the heat if they need to.
They're closed Wednesday too, though.
Yep, they're closed Wednesday.
What about churches?
I was gonna contact some of the churches, so we haven't done that yet. But what we were gonna do is once we have some information, that we were gonna pass it to Mike to share it out.
Because you're right, our official, or the village's official cooling stations are the library and the pool, which is not open yet.
Right, so we were just gonna give a little bit of like, here are open spaces where we've talked to that are okay to have people, come in and, they have the AC working. And so we're just gonna, give you some info, hopefully to promote, just so that people can have that. And
obviously our AC is working, but we're not open Wednesday either, right?
yeah, and
We're not open Wednesday either.
And because of the setup of the building and the cleaning and stuff, we weren't anticipating having any welcoming this building up for people because of we don't have the additional staff to clean it after or to like be supervising people, right? I mean,
they could come in here and hang out.
Yeah, they kind of use it just as a public, but we weren't welcoming people as a cooling site for people during these days because we didn't want to overwhelm the office.
far as cleaning, like we hire a cleaning service, that's what I.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's just a brief thing. So we submitted actions with Michael Brown for the Climate Energy Communities program. We submitted 3 high impact actions. So the CDG subscription, that was our contract with Meadow for solar. Like our buildings have a certain amount of solar electricity that we have contracted to use. And our community campaign for the clean heating and cooling, the scoping, we submitted those for 2 of the campaigns that we're going to be doing this summer. I'm seeking quotes for electric vehicles, for the code enforcement, what's possible for sewer, what's possible for police, and I'll try to present those tomorrow for long-term planning. The code enforcement would be immediate, and other cars we would talk about for future planning. A quote for solar charging up in the cemetery, and a battery. A quote for electric landscaping equipment, so it could be like all our lawn mowers, the weed whackers, a zero turn, and a quote for ATV or UTV, what do you call it? A small little electric like Kubota. Like if we could use that for the fire department or DPW. And so all of these things, yeah, so all of these things can get us point credits in the grant system. And then, so if we, use our money buying these things, then we would get enough credits in the program to get more money in the future. So we're examining how we can work this money to get more money in the future. Another thing with that is the Cadmus visit for the audit of the wastewater treatment plant that got delayed, and it will need to be rescheduled because of the incident over with the utility pole on the pipes, on the sewer pipes. So that needs to be rescheduled, and once it is completed, it might be a month. They'll do the audit. It might take a month, and with those completed results, we can then try to do those upgrades with our grant money. So we're hoping to get that rescheduled. So because that's what we want to use a big amount of money on potentially is the wastewater treatment plant and 90 Temple. And let's see. Yep, in our other meetings that we had a climate energy communities scoping meeting that went well, and our climate smart communities task force meeting went well. We discussed a comprehensive plan for the village and how we could go about getting that, possibly from a grant from the Department of the State. And then we talked about the grant spending, and we got the results from the 90 Temple Street energy audit. And we have submitted enough high impact actions to qualify for bronze certification, and we are hoping to receive our announcement that hopefully that we've won that in the next day or next few days or so.
Are they going to spill out and right this time?
Yes. Yes. Yeah. So we would get some signs on our website and like official signs that like physical signs in the building. Cool. Yeah. And that's it for me.
All right. That was Perfect, well done.
I met your mom. Did she tell you?
I don't know if she remembered.
All right.
We're talking strawberries.
Yeah, she was wearing her first year shirt.
I did a webinar on housing and historic preservation. There were some things of interest for us, not a terrible lot, but that was. And I'll be doing the meeting tomorrow with Julie and Jane on how to spend that money also. And I studied some architecture in another. So
Oh, yeah, perfect. Hopefully had a good time.
Yeah, I think we could really use some houses with step gables. That would be something to talk about, you know? Yeah, so.
Yeah.
Probably not appropriate for the rest of the neighborhood, but, oh,
Whatever.
anyway.
Gotta start somewhere.
Absolutely.
Fran?
Yeah, I attended the meetings last week there with Julie that Laura's already talked about. And I, at that time, I told Julie I've got too much I'm doing and asked Terry to take my place.
Okay.
Especially since, her category is finances and grants.
Yep.
I mean, that fits more with her.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, so, EMS, there's nothing other to report than what Les Wagner went over, and we have a work session this Saturday with the public. We'll work more on that trail, and we've got our monthly EMS, or not EMS, cemetery committee meeting on the 24th at 5:30 here. Yeah, EMS, there's nothing other than the regular runs and all that stuff that Paul has that information. I'm sure he'll mail that to us.
He sent it already.
Yeah.
When he had to leave.
But yeah, with the New York class, I hope we can discuss that some more. Maybe send you the information, Mike, if you'll pass it on for everybody to take a look at.
Yep.
I'm sure there are some of our different reserves we can, put in that and give it a try. And, if we like the way it works, we can add more afterwards. But so I hope we can put that on the agenda for next month. That's all.
Down to me.
I didn't mention the rooster situation in the village. That is still a problem.
Yeah.
My air conditioner use has been canceling out some of that noise, but it's still an issue.
Yeah.
If you could write up something.
And I keep making excuses why I'm not doing it, but this whole week has been budget and everything. Yeah, it's just, it's what I'm.
I didn't make it a priority.
Yeah, it is a priority.
It's still there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I should make one more. I got an email from another one of our residents over in Halsted Development. They have a problem with one of the neighbors that has a huge amount of chickens. They sell eggs and so on, and they not only have been attracting rats, but the bear population has skyrocketed over there in the last few weeks. So, I mean, it's not just roosters. Well,
Bears eat anything.
yeah, they might, take the roosters over there.
East Temple Street, we could use some beer.
But, I mean,
You need a bear.
the roosters may be bothering
A lot of people have
but other
bears.
people are bothered by the chickens as well.
Speaking of bears, anybody see that bear with the kid on its head?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was an interesting story, right? So they called the DEC. The DEC tried to tranquilize the bear. This is completely off topic. It didn't work. They lost the bear. So then the DEC never showed back up. So Fritz Root, if anybody knows Root Farms,
Oh, yeah.
he found a bear and got the tin off the head with some vegetable oil and a rope.
Huh.
Leave it to Fritz.
Yeah. Ingenuity.
So.
Okay, hold on.
I had a bear in my yard 2 years ago.
Yeah. No, they're around.
It's still there.
Is it wooden? No.
It was actually the sheriff's in my yard.
What do you got, Mike?
All right, so down to me. So I installed the sign at Marvin Park. That took 2 trips to Binghamton. I didn't quite know what I was getting when I first went. So I had to come back and get a truck and go back.
Huge sign.
It's huge. And it's not bendable. I thought like it was gonna be rolled up or be able to be folded up, put in my car. No, definitely not. So I went back with a DPW truck, got it. And then at 7 or 8 o'clock at night, me and Fred put it up over there, pounded signs in the ground. And thank you to Fred for 7 o'clock at night on block party night. We were over there pounding signs in the ground. But it's up, it's over there. There's also a ribbon cutting Friday at 10 a.m. The county's doing some kind of a touch a truck thing, 70 Delphine Street.
So sorry about asking how we're doing.
We're all invited, so I might move the status call or whatever, because it's at the same time. Yeah.
Where is that again?
70 Delphine Street.
You were,
But
Scott's fifth
past
son
Scott's
is
Fifth.
Delphine Street.
So it's a ribbon cutting, it's a touch a truck.
Yeah, it's county government ribbon cutting or something.
It's for the new building that they took over from the town.
Right.
Yeah.
Truck
It's
wash or whatever.
21st.
Yes.
What time?
10 a.m.
Oh.
So we're trying to make an appearance there. That's all I got. Other than that, busy with the budget. Rusty.
Try to be short and sweet. I know Chris is passionate about the sign at the American Legion, and she's trying, except of course it's not, none of that's accurate. We already know all this stuff. We've been through this stuff. We love the American Legion. I belong to the American Legion. Blah, 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 except it's in a residential, and when we let it add that kind of electric flashing, blinking sign in a residential, we don't just do it for them. So we know, we've already been through that before, and I get the same passion and stuff about it, but she doesn't understand the intricacies of it, and the OHPC didn't decide that couldn't be there.
No.
That was a zone.
Mostly zoning, yeah.
Wasn't like the brightness of the lights?
I mean, you just can't have any kind of, you're not allowed to have any kind of electric sign like that in a residential.
Way down the street.
And even though
That's
Paul
what I
Connie,
remember from that conversation that we had.
we talked all about that, and even though Paul says, okay, some of the other neighbors on the street did not say, okay, they were not happy about having a sign there.
In a residential
Lights
zone,
flashing.
when you read the code, but in a residential zone, you're supposed to have a sign like this big.
Yeah, all of
For
it.
a professional office or whatever, you're not supposed to have huge.
Right. So it's nothing to slight the services that they render. It's,
No, it's the lights.
it was, yeah. I mean, we obviously appreciate everything that they've done.
Yep.
The services.
Once again,
We all love the Legion.
Rodney, I belong to I belong to American Legion, but that's here nor there. That's McNabb and on. Yeah, but that's not about zoning and rules and stuff, and which is of course what we had our friends here about.
And it's been zoned for residential forever.
And that used to be a house.
It was.
Right.
Until they made it into a brick building, it was an American Legion house, Victorian house.
It was a house.
It's actually still the same house.
And of course, not get off it, not understanding. No, the dentist there, that's not the same thing, and it's not residential. It's residential with a business professional office, and just it was okay, but it was just not.
Because you can have professional offices in there, aren't you?
Yeah.
I actually have an R1 too.
And we know Pompelli stuff is coming some more, so we'll be talking about it again. Not tonight.
I just have a question.
I can't hear you, dear.
What are they zoned for?
Who?
This Pompelli House.
R2?
There are 2, same as the Legion.
That's what I thought, okay.
And even though somebody brought in a thing here about non-conforming, they didn't get it right. Non-conforming means that thing was there before the zoning was changed, and it was not. So that non-conforming doesn't apply there either.
That's been R2 for a long time. That whole
Yep.
section of Front Street is R2.
Yep.
other section where, Belva Lockwood is R3.
This is off the top. Somebody bought the church on the corner of Main Street. What's that church on Main Street?
Common ground.
What is it?
Oh, yes.
Well,
Common ground.
Yeah.
we don't know if they sold it to them or how that's exactly played.
They've got it, but, they might turn that into, I don't know what they're gonna do.
You think they want to turn it into a homeless shelter?
She was here last meeting, remember?
Well, it sounds like it to me. But I don't know what the zoning is for that either.
Yeah, I don't know either. That's a church though, but not, the church doesn't own it anymore.
It's, I think,
Well, I mean, it's across the street from Weissman's, it's, I don't know. what
I'd have to look at the
yeah,
map.
Yeah.
I think it's just an R2.
Has anything been mentioned again about the encampment?
No,
They
other
have-
than, I mean,
they
it
have
is,
power now?
it is growing if you go there and look. So,
Talk about it every day.
I don't know how he puts it, but it's growing. All right, that's public comment.
Pow.
They all left.
Move to adjourn.
I noticed there was some strawberries, vegetable signs still up there.
About them,
Who's gonna be keeping those down?
Yes.
which election?
Howard Electric.
All right.